unbeaten. They have not lost a single map, but will OXG roast these marshmallows, or will they keep burning through SI? In some unfortunate news, though, we have learned that the plushie is missing. MNM tweeted that out earlier today. So if you know anything at home, please make sure you tweet at us. Very unfortunate to hear that. Starting off this broadcast on a somber note with Anne and Jack. But you know what? We got a big face-off to talk about, and I'm real excited about that. So yeah, it has been a wild day. Wild, Anne.
Yep, a wild day. Teams really picked their potion today, and it's turning out right now as Oxygen proceed in the upper bracket, and they'll be facing MNM just right now.
Every single second seed team lost today against the third seed teams. It has been mental. Predictions are short. Everybody demos money. He's 0-4 on the day for predictions.
I think I am as well.
Some absolutely thrilling battles. But back to OXG versus MNM. Will OXG put an end to this hot streak? And they are undefeated, though. MNM, I mean, there's a lot going on when we're talking about this series. So we've been hammering home their stellar performance in groups. But, Anne, candidly, we were talking in the green room, and you were like, I have concerns about their pacing.
I do have concerns about their pacing. Yes, group stage for MNM was insane. They did indeed not lose a singular map. I looked it up. It has actually been since SI 2019 that there were 3 teams that didn't drop a single map during group phase. But they only played 2 matches, and MNM played 4 matches. However, indeed, as you mentioned, they will have to work on their pacing. If you were to look at their entry engagements and you'd put them on a line in regards of time proceeds throughout the round, you'd see a very big spike near the end of the round. Around 30 seconds, there's an insane amount of entry engagements happening for MNM. They lose too much utility, they lose too much body trying to get certain control areas on the map, and that's what they need to work on for today.
Yeah, and Fresh, I mean, their big problem in the past had to be consistency, but we're seeing this entire squad step up here. But Nathan's addition, we got to deep dive into that for sure.
Yeah, I think he gives them a level of consistency that they've not yet seen. You know, we've seen them across multiple tournaments being up and down, not really ever getting to this point, but Nathan's come in and he's done a like-for-like replacement of Neo in terms of the roles. There's some small changes, and we've actually got a graphic that supports this as well. And you can see there, and this is not to, you know, go in on Neo at all, he was playing a difficult role, but Nathan is playing it better, and he's also adding a layer of shot calling, a layer of he's bringing more ideas. The way that I would describe adding Nathan to this roster is that they now have a hammer and a screwdriver. So they can approach a situation by hammering the nail in, or they can approach it by screwing the nail in. They've got multiple processes to deal with any problem that they face.
I mean, if you look at MNM, right, they're a team of friends, which you could say they've qualified through 4 EUL together, and of course you'd want to protect your friends. But at one point, you want to go and win events instead of being grouped in events. So you need to make sacrifices at certain points, and they did that, bringing in Nathan and dropping Neo, and I think it's been working really good for them.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's hear from MNM themselves. We have this interview, so take a listen about their SI journey so far.
My team's performance in the group stage, I think, was unexpected by a lot of people. But from me being on the inside and me only joining these guys a month ago, I knew like the level we can perform at, and like the level there's no cap to us. I would still say right now we haven't performed at our best. So yeah, there's still some room for improvement. But yeah, apart from that, we've been playing solid. I would like to play first in the playoffs, probably Oxygen, so I can wave Newers home. The things we'd like to improve on from the group stage to the playoffs would probably be the composure in these late rounds, you know, closing them out, especially when we have the man advantage, which we've been pretty good at, but there's like certain rounds against Sonics, for example, the 5v1, you know, these are rounds we've got to be winning, and they're going to make the difference in these big games. Teams I think I'm going to go on good runs. Obviously, I think no-brainer, W7M, even though they finished third in their group, still a tough group. G2 have been looking good and Koi. But yeah, I think EU's looking great as a whole right now, but I think I'd put probably the most probably like dangerous right now, I'd probably put as still W7M. I think we're going to keep the exact same thought process regarding going into like our next team. We'll just look, I mean, we had the advantage of getting to watch them two play. Out of the 2 teams we might play, we get to watch both of them, so we'll watch them go through our game plan like we have done with everyone else, and then just stick to the plan. Underdogs no more.
Nate, super relaxed there, and I like that game plan. Stick to the... Hold on a second.
Oh my god.
Is that the missing plushie? Where is that?
Where is that?
I don't know.
Hello?
Where is it? It's been in front of us the whole time. Hold on, you guys didn't know that, right? Okay, we'll make sure to talk to MNM about that because they tweeted out that it has been missing. I think that we got a hold of some security footage as well. So this is an ongoing investigation. We will keep you posted on that.
Little 10K bonus.
Okay, moving on. My producer is like, let's get to OXG. So, and if we're talking about OXG, newers. But Sweater has been better. And you know, I've been dying to say that to you.
Yeah, exactly. He did show up in the first map earlier today when, ironically, Newers had a bit of a slower start to the first map of the match they played earlier this morning. Right, another positive point that I have for Oxygen is when I looked at their entry conversions this morning, they've actually been really, really good at it. They got the entry in the majority of the rounds, especially if you looked at the second map that they played earlier this morning, and they've converted that into round wins 84% of the rounds. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and also with OXG, and I think we were chatting earlier and you were like, they're vibing, they're vocal. Jack, I want to talk to you a little bit more about how they're evolving here at SI. We've seen a lot of growth.
Yeah, I think they've evolved genuinely as a team throughout the groups. I think we saw inconsistency in groups, and you're talking about the vibes and everything else. Their team play that we saw today has got better. Their map choices, their map pool, they brought a different map pool out for playoffs. So they've genuinely improved significantly.
All right, and we are taking a live look at the play area right now. We are speeding through this. Okay, and we got the map ban info up already, so what are your initial thoughts here?
Well, I was a bit concerned maybe fatigue will start to become a factor for Oxygen as well. There is a map in this map ban phase as a decider that they've already played earlier this morning, but they picked Oregon for this startup in this matchup. They have a 3-game win streak on this map for Oxygen. It's also their best attack and win rate. They've won 71% of their attacking rounds on this map. They did use to ban it a lot, but they haven't played it yet. Would have been the decider for the heroic game this morning, but they didn't even need to make it that far.
Yeah, they've not played it yet in the tournament, and this is what I'm saying about bringing out your maps for the playoffs. I think, curiously, they've allowed MNM to go to Skyscraper, which for me, MNM are quite literally one of the best Skyscraper teams on the planet, especially with using either Solis or Azami, and I think the banning phase, in the operator phase, banning phase, will be very curious for that. Clubhouse as a decider, it makes sense. Both teams like that map, especially MNM. It was on my graphic this morning as previously a permaban, and now they absolutely love it.
Yeah, they won it against Wolves, Liquid, and Sonic, so not the least teams. So yeah, that's going to look really good for MNM.
Okay, really quickly, predictions, fresh, hot seat first. What are you thinking?
Ooh, 2-1 to MNM.
Okay.
I'm going to say the same. Really? How funny.
I got asked first, I get it.
Because
Sorry.
I think the decider fits MNM very well because of their history on this map, and I also think we need to keep in mind, Oxygen have already played a match this morning, right? They have already spent 2 hours in that hyper-focus mode, and now they'll have to do it again, and for some teams that might end up being really difficult.
Maybe that plushie buff will help them out today, right? Well, let's get this Stream A matchup underway. MNM versus OXG. Cap and Fluke, take it away. Oh, I said Cap and Fluke. I meant Hap. Captain Fluke. Oh, no, I didn't do that. I did. Anyway, take it away. And don't forget about the Stream B pre-show coming up soon.
Thanks, Jackie. Bye. Hi, yeah, it's Cap and Fluke and Hap. And Fluke.
Or Cap, you know.
Or Cap.
Yeah.
Flap.
Flap.
And we're here with a bit of a series. MNM. They have outperformed, I think, their expectations, our expectations. They're close to main stage. They are knocking on the door of continued success, and the next team to step up to the plate is OXG.
Yeah, that's going to be it. And, you know, they had that first bye due to the fact they came in first seed, they came in unbeaten, and that means they only now have to fight. Which also means that if they win now, they're going to be done for the rest of the day, just like Oxygen. So they've had a bit of an easier, a quieter start. They had the opportunity to watch Heroic versus Oxygen to see who they will be coming up against and instantly try and figure out what a potential counter could be. Now,
I'm gonna fucking hit you, by the way. How much are you gonna hit like you did?
just quickly listening in to like some last second notes we get before we head into Oregon as the first map. For some teams, a bit of a hit or miss this tournament so far.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. You know, it becomes that awkward place, Oregon, where we've also seen it as a decider for a lot of teams. There's comfort on Oregon, there's teams that, even if they don't really have sort of a lot of comfort maps, Oregon still somehow slips through because it's very well known.
It's like a clubhouse.
Yeah.
Right? It's been bread and butter of Siege. There has been, of course, a rework as well, so it's not the same Oregon as you might know from Year 1 Siege. It definitely isn't.
No.
But it basically remained the same in terms of playstyle. Hasn't changed too much. The one thing that I can think of is that we don't really see Laundry Hatch executes anymore. Remember those? Those were actually quite fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's a real throwback.
Very balanced.
Remember Laundry?
Remember the Laundry Hatch?
Do you remember Mute being put up on
the sink so you couldn't actually
so you couldn't open the hatch without going for the wide swing?
Yeah. Fun times.
I remember Capital. I remember the stairs having a side railing you could shoot through. Memories.
Memories, so many.
The plant spot was up on the washing machine.
Yeah, it was actually. The washing machine is still there, just no longer part of the...
No.
Or you
can still jump on it if you want to relive old time.
Yeah, you can.
No one's going to stop you.
Sometimes you have people hide a C4 in there and a little crack in the sides.
Okay.
Up.
Enough about washing machine.
Right.
Enough about memory lane. Who are we? Milosh? I wish. No. We are here with Oxygen having a win. Earlier on in the day, they played out their first best of 3, and in that time, obviously, you assume MNM were keen-eyed towards the screen, and as soon as they got a taste of food, they thought they'd be getting a full bite of preparation hats on, get themselves loaded in. OXG, they've obviously, you know, if you can prep for the one team, the first team, whether you want to adapt that into prepping for your second opponent, I guess we'll find out, because one of the things that you might have noticed in OXG's first showdown against Heroic, although they won it, obviously, eventually, at the very beginning, they struggled a little bit with Juma Noodle and the movement of the young guns.
Yeah, they needed to get them under control quickly, eventually, of course, able to do so as they came out victorious. But I think you make a good point there. It's like, all right, you want to prep, you need to prep for the first game. Are you going to be also already prepping for your second game potentially coming up and compromise your first game? Oh, we're going to be finding out very soon as Newers gets in. That's a trade kill. Even Nello and Newers both take each other down.
I mean, it's always the thing with Newers, has been an absolute standout performer throughout this. Nello, obviously more of a backline player, he can have his big moments, but as he puts it himself, if he's top of the scoreboard, something is wrong. So I think it'll be a trade he is more than happy with, takes care of that big threat gun. However, one of the things from OXG, if I'm going to talk about where they struggled, more of them popping off earlier, including Sweater, who didn't quite have the best lead into the tournament. Obviously, they'd changed the roster, seeing if they can try and get themselves settled, a little bit more of a dynamic onto the biggest stage there is, and seeing him start to hit into a game, start to develop and start to improve, it's always the thing. It's always good to see, especially at this point. Talking of, minute 30, half the round has passed. They're starting to get their steady idea of control over the back of tower.
Slowly, Oxygen are starting to, as you mentioned, get that control. Need to make sure that MNM is not just lurking around, is not having anybody ready to just rotate down at any given point and strike you when you least expect it. These drones need to start scouting out the actual bomb side. Where are these defenders located? What is currently being watched? Now, Sweater comes in with the RC Rotero, but he's not going to be able to get too far because of the Mew Jammer. Needs to go for a bit of a loop around, but won't be hitting anything as a result. There's also going to be a Goyo canister on that door, so if they do want to push through quickly, they need to start opening up because the fire is still on the ground.
Well, Solotov finds the head of Sweater. We heard a little bit of the Exikaros get removed there. The pressure starts to come back, and as you said, there needs to be that pace. There needs to be that fervor as a response to hold and await. The guns of MNM definitely pointed outwards. Solotov still in elbow. Nafe, he's got himself around pillar, swinging it. Tyrant is on the back end, watching down, so Nafe is going to be the point of contact. Stream with the drop right into Moto, waiting for the box. They're hoping to pinch the player. Tyrant's there for some support, and he gets some wiggle room on the swing. Nafe rotating around the back of Shaiko, but there in the sight, and there's the C4 to stop him. Dream's gone. Uses as the stairs locked in. Vertical is outside the smoke, sitting, waiting, commiserating what is only an MNM opener.
A very confident and, you know, relaxed opening coming down from MNM here. It is, of course, that basement. It's a difficult site to attack. But everything came one by one. Nothing really happened at the same time. They had the opportunity to just put their guns in the same direction, work out what the problem is, then go to the next, and the next, and the next. So Oxygen, they need to be a little bit quicker here if they want to, you know, find success in those kinds of takes. Of course, it is going to be that only first round of the entire series, so nothing to be worried about as of yet. MNM will be more than happy to pick up that first one, but, you know, no trouble on the horizon as of yet.
Well, we find the rotation up to dorms, and I guess the question will be one of those age-old ones of, is it playing 2 best-of-3s in a single day? Now, there was obviously a roughly 3-hour break between the two, so time to get yourself fed, diffuse and stuff.
Don't know which is better.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you asked one team, the next team, one player and the next player, they would have different answers as to what they prefer. And at this point, obviously, I'm going to touch wood when I say this, but it's fact. All the Seed 2s in the games earlier today fell to the Seed 3s.
Yeah.
So the third seeds are hungry to take those above them.
They are, definitely. I'm just afraid that maybe a 3-hour break, potentially even more if you had like a 2-0.
Yeah.
It's going to be diffusing you a little bit too much, right? Getting you out of that focus after you've already been in that for a very intense 2 to 3 hours. By the way, it is Oxygen on the hunt, looking to find their entry into the building safely and steadily. Some pings are coming through. They're hoping to isolate those players, pick them up, get another entry on the way, hopefully this time untraded. As airdrops are being set up. That's all just for protection, just to make sure that these players are going to be confined to everything east of the Showers corridor.
A little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of a watch, and there's the first. Tyrant takes care of Sweater, and Tyrant has been phenomenal this tournament. Yep, the hard breach is gone, so if Walken is fully locked, that will stay that way. If the other side of Attic is locked, that will stay that way. It becomes a bit problematic, but they do have some options here. The fact that Dream is sitting there with the Gara hook is a bit of a quick swing. They can try and pull some surprise on the window, get something a little bit off the beaten path. Solotov's waiting. Here's the air jab. Doesn't want to get caught by it. Oh, but does get caught by Vertical. The pings were there. They had the intel, and now they've got the player.
Yeah, they knew they had a drone out there. We're able to instantly reply to it. So another traded entry kill to come through. Not as a one-on-one trade, but, you know, slightly later on. Tyrant holding tight. Does Vertical have information on the Oryx too? Some bullets just fly by his head, but nothing will connect, and instantly Tyrant will fall back. He knows he doesn't need to take the fight now. He just needs to make himself known. He needs to get himself hunted by the rest of Oxygen to waste time. And if he doesn't get hunted, he can start hunting them in about 30 seconds. That's his goal. That's what he's hoping to achieve here. As he's rotating around, back towards the kitchen, currently not being watched, takes out a drone as Dream finds users.
Dream finds users. They're in there, putting a bit of pressure down there onto the players up the stairs, but have to stop the fire, and it's perfect time. He's not going to put the push. Tyrant, he rotates up. He knows that he has to reinforce the remaining players because otherwise he was droned out underneath. He cannot leave them in a 4 versus 2 on the site because even with a retake and a roam, that's not going to go too well. Look at this though. 30 seconds, a wide swing from Nafe. Buys a bit of damage, the flashes come through. Nello's there to offer some support, but nobody can really see anybody the swing round. They drop down off the back of the window. There's a bit of pressure coming from the top of White Dream. He's inside, going around the back, gets the one off, and he's going to see if he can get the plant down. Nello doesn't quite have the read, doesn't quite have the angle, but might be able to see if he can get the catch. It's too late. The spray doesn't have the connection. Tyrant finds one, can't see the second on the way out the door, missed the jiggle peek, and Nello has 3 bodies entirely surrounding him as an attempt to try and get this kit back. A good watch, a good push here from OXG, and a great finish to tie us back up 1 apiece.
Bit sloppy that nobody was paying attention to the White Stairs, or there was no PC utility to alarm them. Someone was coming from White Stairs Dream. Of course, he picked up that first kill, but then allowed to just basically slowly walk through, pick up a kill, get behind the bunk bed and get that plan down. Basically did it all. 1-1. And Oxygen, they have a good second round to come through. They lost the initial entry, but managed to fight back, take control of the site itself. If they managed to actually find out about a roamer still downstairs. And now we're headed towards middle floors. It's going to be that meeting room and kitchen, which means that stage could always be a bit of a staging area for the attack. I'm on point, well not on point, but I'm on a roll with some of my jokes.
I mean, I've never seen
so many jokes.
I've never seen so many jokes from you. That's at least your fifth.
It is, yes.
Okay, I briefly started talking about Tyrant before, and I want to put a comparison down earlier onto the series because I'm really curious to see how they grow in versus Nuers, two of the biggest guns inside the tournament so far. But one very interesting difference in the statistic is that Tyrant's round survivability is about 10-15% higher than what Nuers is able to pull. There's a lot of aggression, there's a lot of movement. They've both been brilliant. And obviously to get them to the stage, they've been big forces. However, there's a slight difference in how they go about it. And one being able to potentially shut down the other on that specific statistic, if we can see more survival from the OXG star, or maybe they can pull a little bit less away from Tyrant, we could be able to see a shift in the balance there of body count. But OXG, once again, prodding, probing, prying apart an idea and an angle on this hold.
Of course, part of that disparity between the two survival rates might also be that, you know, one is a top-seeded team with not a single map dropped, and the other had to fight themselves completely through the groups and ended up in the 3rd seed. So, you know, there's always that two sides to a story, and this is where they go head-to-head. As you mentioned, if Nuers has that little bit more here now, as Nello takes a lot of damage, could be a difference maker. Smoke to be tossed in. It's not something you see very often used this early on set specific situation. But Nello is quite low, and you know, it's better to use your smokes than to die with them in your pocket. Talking about dying, Tyrant takes down Dream. It's going to be the Capital off the board, no asphyxiating bolts. There's going to be no micro bolts to be used either. A lot of utility suddenly out of pocket for Oxygen.
Tyrant, he's holding close, and he missed just a little bit of extra width, but to be honest, he doesn't have to. In the meantime, Nuers, the aforementioned rival I said before, is looking for his own engagement. Oh, and he finds it! Solotov. Barely even saw that one coming, and well, Tyrant's going to see if he can slip back into that position, replace the split player, maybe even get a bit lucky and push back just over to the opposite end. They can see the position at the end of long, and without the smokes that the Capital might have provided, and only with the couple that they've got left in the pocket of Sweater, will that slightly change how confident they are of trying to drive in, because you also can't force players further away. A slow rotate. Attention being paid towards the back of tower, just up past the barbs. Nello, he's quite injured, quite wounded here. It just takes the side of a scrap, and there's one huge tape from Nello. Looks for the second on the other ping. He's going really wide with it, but he's caught out from long. A great bit of movement and support. Tyrant, he wanted to try and get some revenge there, but the bullets sort of gave the game away that don't do that, so instead it's here. A close fight over the top. Tyrant gets the drop, and now they've got some control back the hatch. Oh, a hell of a take by Vertical. That allows the doors to open. The swing round on the back. Fox is doing everything to try and watch the cover from above. Can't quite get the lock in. There's the drop. They can't get the diffuser in time, but they do get it just after. MNM, they keep us toe and toe.
At this point, it doesn't matter if that diffuser goes down if you instantly get that kill afterwards. It's just, you know, it's a slight, you know, extra amount of time that you need to go for the diffuse after that. Actually gives you the opportunity to talk. How did that happen? What did go wrong? Because you managed to still get that round win. Back to Laundry. We've completed 3 rounds. It's not going to be a perfect rotation to come through from MNM. Of course, with the bedroom loss they have on their record. But the Laundry is one they managed to win before. And that was a very, as we mentioned it, calm and collective kind of opening for MNM. They could focus on their problems one by one. Oxygen wasn't making trouble on more than one side at a time, and you know that allowed them to really easily get themselves into this game and on the scoreboard. So that's kind of what I want to see from Oxygen now. Cohesion. Attack at the same time. Make sure that you're making it difficult for MNM. Make sure that you spread their attention.
It's kind of fun, in a strange way, seeing an Oregon from 2 teams that we haven't seen an Oregon from. Or that sort of lead in a...
Yes.
It's been common enough but occasionally there's still surprises, and that's kind of where they've led into on this. And with the option of the sites that they had, with the options of the maps that they had, instead of going to one where they think, well, maybe there'll be a little bit of work here, maybe we can get a little bit of work from them, let's go off the beaten path. Let's try something as the opener that's a bit fresh, a little bit more shaken.
Don't use it as a decider, indeed, but as that opener. Tyrant.
7-1.
Yeah, he's having a good first 3 rounds.
He loves Montreal.
He does love Montreal. He does love Montreal. There we go. English is hard sometimes. The half a minute has passed. No one really took any damage, and that means Oxygen is now allowed to start, getting themselves up and a little bit closer as well, because I believe most of the MNM players have actually fallen back. There is only the player on the staircases available, Nave on the back, and then, 2 ready to fight on the freezer stairs. But that does mean that verticality can start to be engaged here. You can start opening up these hatches. As the RC Retero has just seen, hey, there is only a single player in elbow, nothing else in sight. I wonder if that's going to be blacked through on the comms and formulated into a potential plan.
Oh, Yu is very close to another entry engagement there. He's just sort of wiggling his way down. He knows how important his statistics have been for the team, and he's going to see if he can try and make sure that he can keep that up. In the meantime, no direct pressure onto players, but we remember how this went last time. Caught out on the top of the stairs. Nello playing a very aggressive position, and he's pretty good with the shotgun. He's made a demonstration of that multiple times. However, it's tough to hold when that hatch gets open. So you got to rotate out of there before, because otherwise you're pretty much just playing your life there at that point. And any team worth their salt, which most of them are at this level, is going to be able to close you down. The Flores drone getting some of that stretch, making the E-box a little bit trickier to hold on to and play against, as we see the hatch as well coming to a collapse.
Yeah, and with that opening they just made, they can instantly rotate into blue and start pushing elbow as well. But the Electro Claw actually does catch some off. Solotov gets the entry kill. It's Sweater to die again. Still going to be able to use the remainder of his RC Retero drones, and MNM are starting this one off strong again. 40 seconds, hatch is closed. There's not much Oxygen can do except for descending down the staircases and maybe send one person in for barrels, which is going to be Newers. And if he's not successful in his task, it is again going to be a matter of dividing your attention one by one as the problems start dribbling in.
Now, Foxay, he gets the first drop against him there. Nave is able to just hold on, and this is what the spread out approach can lead to, a little bit of a missed moment. Solotov gets his mark, Nello gets his, and across the board.
No, fuck you, please. It looks like infection.
Oh my god, that's a jiggle thing,
This peeking is not helping us in any way, shape, or form. I'd rather we have 5 people up rushing without the hatch open than fucking 4 people up rushing with everything open.
Heard.
They gotta go to 2 shitty sites here. Let's focus up. Like, we're never gonna go kids, we're never gonna go meeting.
That's fair enough.
I mean, I did say, it's like if they're pushing in one by one, and they're just one by one peeking it, they're going to be taken out one by one. MNM's dealing with that issue.
That's exactly it. That's sort of what I was alluding to, and then thankfully it got to the man behind the desk saying the same thing, is that they went for 5 different fights, 4 different fights. They had everything open. They said everything can be a threat. But as we said, that's something that they haven't quite been as sharp at as their opposing teams. When OXG can play really, really well is when they're able to sort of dominate a portion of the map, dominate what they want from the map, not spread out, let's all get our victories across the board. Why risk it if you know that your other game is so good? Let's pull it back to that other game. 3 apiece, and, well, he has his opinions on how these next 2 sites might hold up. Let's see if he can sort of prove himself right here. MNM, they've guaranteed themselves at least the even half.
Of course, the backroom side we saw earlier, they didn't really stand a chance, MNM. They were quickly dispatched by Oxygen, who, got the opening kills, then managed to push through and really work that man advantage they had. Partially due to the fact that no one was watching white, really allowed them to just walk in with the diffuser and do what they did best at that point, which is, just go for it, just send it. For a second there, I thought Newers was going to send it, but he's actually going to go back out because the rest of his team is not there with him yet. It's going to be no point for him to try and risk his life if no one is there to support and potentially find any trades if they would be needed. Again, the air jumps are being set up to stop anybody from moving out of that kitchen. That will make sure that shower corridor is the furthest they can go. going to be some pressure coming down. Newers will take down Solotov. Not quite sure from where that might have been the window. And Tyrant as well taking tons of damage. So again, MNM, they're losing these initial fights for the bedroom area.
Yeah, Tyrant, he's going to see if he can try and hold on. Solotov hasn't quite been able to get in and get out, as he's often made a bit of an ability on previous runs and previous attempts and swings. So, Naif is actually the next to suffer. Newers gets one more take here, and this is it. They're so much better when they're doubling up, when they're offering support to each other. We can see the yellow pings, we can see the intel game working really, really well for OXG. They're able to control the space that MNM still hasn't quite woken up to. Sweater on the far end. They've kept their hard breach, which was a missing factor in the previous win on this site quite early on, that they were picked away with a huge man advantage and so much time. It's going to be pretty tricky for MNM to hold off here.
Openings will be made into the attic now as well. Dream and Newers are going to see if they can put up some pressure. Rotation from Tyrant already came through, hoping to get rid of the Selmas on the actual opposite side, but also that's failing. Nello gets taken down from pit, and that is truly becoming problematic for MNM. They need to start fighting back now, but even if they do, it might be too late. It's that 5-on-2 area now. Drones are coming in, they know where he uses this. The push is coming down from 3 different positions at the same time. It's only a matter of time before he falls, as it's only up to Tyrant now.
Well, he has everything in front of him, cannot quite get the connection. And it's a flawless return and response there from OXG. What they needed to do, they did it perfectly. They knew the conversation, they knew where they were failing.
Yep.
Bring themselves a little bit back towards the center, bring themselves a little bit back towards a column, and use that to smash its way through the site. Kitchen dining is where we might end up going last.
I'm still not fully convinced, though, by Oxygen. That round was great, yes, but so was the previous time they played Bedroom, right? Both those times they attacked, they managed to just isolate MNM players, catch them off guard whilst they were rotating. MNM is kind of sloppy on that side, so I want to see them on this side, on this tertiary side, see how they do against MNM that might be a bit more prepared. Because that Bedroom, again, I mean, 2 people got called off by a rotation through a window.
Yeah.
And that normally should not happen. That's very sloppy to have happen against you. So, Oxygen, let's see what you have. Work together here. Bring it to a 3-3. Make this close.
Do it!
Do it, just do it!
Just do it! You make it sound so easy. I'm sorry.
Well, I was not going to say it is easy.
No. He's the observer.
He's the observer. But, you know, it can definitely be easier than they sometimes have to make it for themselves. Like, they make it harder for themselves than it has to be every now and then.
One of the parts of this game that we've sort of seen so far is a little bit different in terms of the point of contact. Obviously, when you're putting your pressure as your attacker, when you're making your ingress, it's sometimes easier, theoretically, to piece together who's going to be the entry, to what engagement is going to be your first to lead in on. Sometimes it's via a lot of the work, sometimes it's just about the position, and sometimes it's the Hail Mary throw. Whereas the defenders, you're trying to work out where you can set up your best response to that. It is, I think, generally going against MNM at the minute. OXG, they have a couple more players that are putting themselves in. Solotov has been on the wrong end of this statistic once or twice, and here he's in the most likely first place of that statistic. Holding off, there's a lot to jam. There's ADSs and a shield, and Nello offering some support not too far away, but I think he might be caught out on the drone as well. They've got the read on the players. This grenade is going to bounce over, and with the EMP, that was pitch perfect.
Yeah, just taking care of any potential ADS that might be out there. That's going to be a trade kill somehow to still come through. Tyrant will take down Newers.
That was elsewhere on the map. We saw the Nook was sort of on a sneaky fight, and luckily for, I guess, MNM, they were able to win that, and they can sort of go, okay, well, we lost this, but we do have one, and we have a big gun. Once again, Tyrant just doing as much business for MNM as he can possibly do. The break over this. What makes this site a little bit more awkward at times is, well, small tower. They can start smashing open the soft, they can start limiting the play, and you can do the same over kitchen as well. If you put control over dorms, if you have to force the players into either shower, the back of the shower corridor, uncomfortable locations where you're otherwise not going to get the full eyes and read on without just going for something hyper-aggressive on a retake.
Nello's going to be receiving some pressure now as Excaliburs are coming up in the mirror window next to him. I believe that was already shot out, so nothing really to worry about, but the rotation is there now as well. And that means that Shower is going to be one of the last strongholds they can work with here, and Vertical's going to get himself ready to put up the Talon Shield. Surely a plant is soon to follow. 35 seconds, Oxygen, they need to make a move happen, and Nello is maybe the only one that can stop it, but someone is on his window watching him, so he doesn't have freedom of movement.
There he is, just holding on for as long as possible with 20 seconds and the shield making its way in. This is the do-or-die drive on the site. Do they know how close Nello is? He doesn't have the C4. He's concerned about the swing. There's Yusuf and Sweater, one apiece. They've got to stop planting, though. Vertical's pulled off and pulls off. Sweater gets dropped. Tyrant on the back end, leaving just Sweater alone. He's going to have to grab this and hold F and hope that everybody misses every single shot, but around the sides. Ooh, he got one, but Tyrant, luckily, was there for the last.
He just pulled a John Wick there, just with the pistol instantly, the headshot coming through. If he didn't stand up, he would have actually had that shield for cover, but, you know, half a second to work with.
Go downstairs. All good. 2-4 is pretty good for a defense.
4-2 and 2-4 is pretty good for a defensive half. Trying to get that motivation in there, like it's not over. Like it might seem bad, but it's still pretty good. As they're headed downstairs towards the laundry. Same where MNM started off. Now, Oxygen and their attacks on this side looked very disjointed. They were not coordinated. Well, they were coordinated, but the pushes to the actual side itself, the engagements, were not coordinated, which meant that MNM could take the fights one by one, easily, with multiple guns in the same direction. MNM, you need to improve on that. You need to show how to do it if you want to be taking the victory on Oregon, on map 1, and lead instantly. Now, Nello's going to be bringing out the Montaigne, at least for now. It could still be 6-picked out for another 5 seconds.
A little bit of time.
There's a little bit of time left.
A little bit of time ticking away.
And it's already locked in.
No.
So I think that might be used to, you know, get rid of one of those staircases, stop anybody from playing close there. And I'm instantly thinking of Freezer, because that's often played with a shotgun quite close, or otherwise it's going to be a double stack up from 2 defenders.
Yeah, you got to think about what that's going to force and where that might be difficult. It could force Dream to have to rotate and sort of just hold off the Monty. It's all about timing, pressure, and where you want to be the most pertinent problem for your opponents. Tyrant, he's been very problematic for anyone he's gone up against, and he's made sure that was the drive on the first half, 11-2. We'll see if he can now be the tip of the spear. Steady pops, pressures, there is a bit of a roam. Solotov's going to see if he can maybe hunt it down. Concerned about Capcans playing above the Dorm's hatch. If it's open, they can get themselves slunk out, and well, there's the hot pings on the player, there's the drop on the hatch that I talked about, and there's another drone, there's a watch. It's a good bait of time, and a lot of drones being sent straight to the slaughter here. That's 3 that they've picked up. The explosion doesn't quite get the catch. They're through on split. Do they know the worst possible timing for users?
Sort of will be allowed to rotate back, and thus it seems like the first floor has been completely cleared out now. MNM, they've played that shepherding game well, and now they can start preparing. However, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you see Dream ready with a shotgun towards the freezer stairs, and as I said, the Monty will be sent down. First canister will be popped. Yeah, well, still 2 more to go, so 30 seconds in about a minute. You know, that's going to be safe to come by.
They're using this time to breach the hatch, though, and I talked about this before. There's sort of a balance of how much risk you want to put down in terms of, you know, do you stay and hold freezer stairs? Will you be able to slink away if someone's watching the hatch? It also comes with the dedication of, well, we have other things to do. And I like how Nello's saying, well, I've got to wait whilst the smoke dissipates.
That's exactly.
So I may as well go open up the 2 hatches, and I'm back. Have you got a 3rd smoke for me? They're trying to bait the play. There it is. They've got it in behind him. He's going to have to go close. They're pinging the player, caught by the feet. Awkward stairs. And he's still just dancing right on the edge. He's hoping the pilot gets a bit of width. He thinks someone might be here to support Nello. It's a grenade right on the disc. Nello, oh, he's so dangerous to all of this. There's the movement. Finally, Dream is forced out, but he wasted a minute. A lot of his pocket utility, but still the time and the health of Nello.
He did a lot indeed, and Nello now needs to be quite careful. Tyrant about to be going down on the back stairs here. He's hoping to find that first fight to open up the space just slightly. The rest of MNM looking around barrels, the hatch and the back stairs as well. They're hoping to all go at the same time as the drop comes through and Vertical misses his first shots.
Nello is in with the shield. Nafe uses it. Nello all pop off across it. Vertical caught out in the middle of a dark spot, but Nafe needs the plant. Doesn't even have the time.
Oh, shit! What a fucking push.
And not be like our worries at all, by the way. Like we're saying that that guy's a bait, like he's alone. He's alone.
Can you all hear me?
No, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think we did a good job stalling, but our problem there is like we need to like have all of our bases covered when that drop comes. We knew they had to flood, we knew they had to get picks, so we just need to, in the comms, we need to be communicating who's watching what, who's going to be covering what. I think a Goyo would be really good too, like late game, anything to stall them late game where they're running into traps and stuff is kind of what we should aim for. Right there, they had no time to clear anything.
So drop the cap can, bring the...
We all lost our gunfight, so we should just make the site harder once they exit.
I can bring the Legion.
We should bring a Goyo too. If Sweater wants to drop Alibi, maybe.
Yeah, yes. Alibi's kind of useless here.
All right, I can't like roam it all in.
So bring Legion. You can roam with Legion. The Legion impacts. Let's go downstairs.
Somebody inside there, so they've spotted out the MNM. They didn't have much time to clear stuff. They just ran in. They did as a unit, they came out on top, but if there is more traps on the board, so such as a Goyo, that's the main one they focused, because of the fire, of course, they will run out of time. Because besides the smokes, then you would also have fire. Now, of course, if this does get spotted out by MNM, we might see a response. We might see Twitch Pick, for example, send in a drone to quickly take care of some of those Goyo canisters. Or if a drone spots it out, maybe a grenade will roll down to do exactly that. It's not like a remedy for everything, but it's definitely going to be helping them to slow down the game of MNM. 5-2. 2 more rounds and MNM, they find themselves with the first map in their pockets.
5 seconds remaining.
MNM, who so far have been unbeaten, by the way. Haven't dropped a single map yet throughout the 6 Invitational.
It's such a surprising statistic. Obviously,
especially if you look at last majors.
This is it. It's a team that we love, and it's a team that had changes, had a sort of slightly different face before they came into this. Got Nafe, got a change on a long-time standing roster, and you expect success always from the teams that come here. But even they're sort of like, this is going pretty good. If they win this, I believe, whoever wins the series, is it confirmed at least top 8?
Yes, they're already confirmed top 12 right now, so they will be confirmed top 8 if they win the series.
Which is the best any player on the Na'Vi, including, when Nello was on the old Na'Vi roster long time ago,
has been able to,
and anyone on this MNM roster has ever been able to achieve.
So it'll be a massive step up for them. And they might not even show signs yet that they're willing to stop because, you know, Oxygen, they have a game plan for these next couple of rounds, but we haven't seen yet how it's actually going to be working out. Like, on paper, it sounds right. It sounds like it should work. But is it going to work? That's that big question. Lots of open lines of sight here. It's going to be making it hard to drop that hatch. And that should be called out quickly as well. 90 seconds on the clock. Means that they need to start putting up some pressure towards Oxygen here.
That's it. You can see that, you know, they had the conversation. They're slower to approach and attack. We can waste some of that time. Play your Goyo, play your trap operators. The smoke was good at wasting time. We knew it was a bait. We're losing our gunfights, so let's play the fight of time. And that's sort of what they're doing. They're making things uncomfortable for the approach. They're making things a little bit second-guessed. Solitov can't quite get the drone all the way up to the shield, so he's going to go from a bit of a closer distance here instead. They're still holding them off, though. MNM, they're trying to posture, trying to work out where would be the place to get the drop in. Solitov somehow slinks that one by, gets the shield. A great bit of use of the Flores drone, and big miss moment for Vertical, but with the fire pop behind it, they've still got to wait once again.
Going to be aware of the fact that the fire is there now, so MNM, that should be a warning sign for them that they need to move. One already popped on the hatch drop down as well. There's one left still standing out there. RC Rotero is going to be removing Sweater temporarily from the washing machine, so let's see if MNM actually took some space as a result of it. Solotov moving in, grenades are coming through as well into the small cubby. Nothing is connecting just yet for MNM, but they're really far in. Tyrant
right down the corridor, swings for the first, and he's right down into the washroom. Doesn't see it, the freezer pulls him back. Vertical and Dream, one apiece. It's a drop shot right onto the site itself. A 3 versus 2 versus 2. With the plant being held just round on the corner, it's the cover of Solotov. Finds the first, Nello gets the plant. Sweater with the pistol, can't get the connection. Dips and dives out of there before the bullets scrape through his back. Wants to see if he can try and fight back round. Cannot find the first, and MNM against death's door. Say not yet.
I fucking ice you from you, Fozzie.
I focus up. This is amateur
Quick listening.
mistakes. We had the perfect setup. We're stalling these guys to the end. We just gotta hold angles. Hold
We going
angles.
kids?
Yeah.
Or
Do the
New World.
new one. Extend. The new one with the extend.
Yo, let's wake up, guys. Come on. We got this.
also correct. They had the setup, they knew how to slow them down, but Tyrant found a way in, opens up the site, and the rest of MNM explodes all over it.
Yep.
How did he get in? No clue. He just snuck all the way through, managed to suddenly find himself a kill. I think he went down the staircase or dropped the hatch, by the way.
I would
You know, we know that, but
I would assume.
yes.
Appeal that. But no, it was... I mean, it was needed. Let's be honest.
They needed it.
Had been stalled. They needed a sort of start. They needed a spark. They needed something to set them loose across the backboards, and the position he was in, there was too many targets momentarily. He got the first, suddenly found himself even deeper, looking for the second and the third.
Yes, but the chaos he basically created by suddenly being in the middle of everything is like, that's worth enough, right? Because that takes away the attention for the rest of MNM to get inside and open up what they need. So again, he did what he needed to do there. Great play from Tyrant. He might not be dropping as many kills in the last 2 rounds as he did over the first half, but he's definitely still of massive impact. And now 6-2. Oxygen will have to fight back 4 map points against MNM. A single slip up and you are going to Sky.
That's rough, but we've seen comebacks of this size throughout the tournament. We've seen, and even today, Tyrant on the long-range hunt, trying to find a loose player, seeing if there's somebody that they can force a little bit of this close-down movement sooner rather than later. Obviously, Solotov's there for support as the Nook creeping, crouching, hunting their way through the down and the back of the map itself, making sure that they have some eyes across and no angles. There is the open hatch, just calling out where things are, where rotates exist, so they can see if they can pinch somebody.
Yeah, start putting pressure down, see if they move, see if they squirm, and if they drop down, be ready to catch them. Sweater prone. Waiting. Oh, yeah, that's going to be one of those. You know, let's see if they squirm if we put some pressure down.
Naif on the door, the air jabs, they're making the statement. Solotov, he could pull the pin on a grenade, but you could see the camera was active underneath them. That's why you've got the Nook in that position. They might not truly know where they're at. They need somebody to be the first point of pressure here, or to make some noise so the grenade can be thrown around. That's why Sweater's now playing it more cautious. Pulled himself further back. The grenade is going over towards the end. Doesn't get the full bite because, as I said, he'd been bounced back. The second grenade doesn't quite get it. Uses. There's the third. There's the fourth. Oh, 4 grenades to take the man out of the cabinet, but they got him.
I mean, results, right? That's what matters in the end. They got 4 grenades used. Finally got that kill. Now they don't need to worry about him anymore. That's most important. The remaining players on Oxygen are all finding themselves up on that top floor, up around the site. Yes, you don't have grenades anymore, but you do have a man advantage you can use to trade. All they need to do now is try and put some pressure left and right, see if they can maybe get 1 more to go their way, and suddenly MNM again have full control. And Solotov looking to do just that, looking to sneak through, but there's some lines of sight he's afraid of.
He's got to make sure that this comes together. They haven't really had the man advantage before. They're seeing if they can try and push behind it. The pressure's inside Trophy. They're getting real aggressive on the door, and Tyrant in the meantime wins one out. Newers goes down elsewhere, and there's Tyrant offering some support to the player who was otherwise about to be swung on. They do lose towards the end of it. Usus is down inside pit. They're looking for the smoke and the cover and the shame of it, but they can't quite find the truest shame of all, which is where is the diffuser going down. Dream gets a huge one off the back end. Usus was playing with being picked up. They lose the fight there with the kit, and Dream has gone massive.
The clutch coming through, the time was running out, and MNM, they had to go for kills at that point. Unable to find it, but it got too close there for Oxygen. These are these rounds where, yes, you win them, yes, you start creeping back, but they've only won when the other way. It would have been the next map now. Well done by Dream. And again, 4 grenades used. That might have been a little bit much for the initial kill. They could have used some vertically if they had it earlier. Just all those grenades a bit overcooked. And then we see a surprise enter our screens. An operator we do not see often, but has found massive success throughout the tournament so far.
There's a... Well, you say massive success.
Well, I mean, we've seen 2 interrogations.
2 interrogations.
And how many times played? Like 2? 3?
I don't know.
I mean,
not many.
It's not many.
Not many. I know it's definitely been played at least more than the 2. Because I remember someone swinging it. I think it was KZ swung, got double.
Oh yeah, and
then finished them off.
Yeah, exactly. But that's also, you know, just.
I mean, that's just KZ. So, KZ plays what KZ wants and gets results. Yeah, I mean, an interrogation at SI is a special treat. Casting one was an absolute pleasure. If I get to cast 2 in a day,
who knows? We might get it. Just have to wait.
I mean, it's always that sort of gambit. You know that there's a lot of controlling ops still on the board. The limitation is the Iana, the Izami, the Buck, and the Valk. You have a lot of potential information still valid in that setup. The Dockerbee is in a big fight with the Caviera, who's just going to sort of play on the top of the tower. And at this point, you go, well, how are they going to solve this problem? They used 4 grenades to solve a previous playoff problem. Maybe they just sort of lock down some intel far away and go for them later. It seems like they want to draw some of the fire towards Split. That's the thing about the sites, that we might have the pressure coming across. At some point, you got to move away from the comfort picks. There it is. Quick play, quick plant, right in, right out. Dream has the cover, has one more fed into the Split meat grinder. Caviera suffers, and Dream is still continuing the run of terror from the previous round. Usus at least gets 1, but as the hatch gets broken above, he's finding himself alone. Well, not for very long.
Wanted to go for a quick plant there, but just only forgot about Dream being in that kitchen, taking them down one by one as they entered Split. The idea was there, but they were not so stealthy about it. We're ready, they were waiting. That brings it back. Only 2 more rounds till we separate the 2. We're headed back towards Laundry. Now, we know what they said about that during the last tactical timeout we had. More traps, slow them down. After they lost it, watch your angles. Now, they stepped off that first 2 parts. There's not going to be any traps now coming out. Or, well, not as many as we had before. Still going to have the Banshees coming in to slow down the approach of the attackers. Potentially set up as well to stop anybody from just suddenly making it into the middle of the site, because the whoop whoop, as we also calls it, makes the whoop whoop sounds.
The whoop whoop. The whoop whoop. The whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop 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 whoop.
Makes that sound you just made.
Imagine how irritating that would be if that sound.
They should do that for an April Fool's.
If the next April Fool's event is the casting talent of the game replace all of the sounds in the game.
Please.
What sound would you want Parker to be most of any item, any gun, any object? I want Parker to be the E1B.
What about foot? Oh yes. I was just gonna say footsteps, so you can always have them in your ear.
Oh no. 2 rounds separate OXG from pulling this back to OT. We are on a long day already, and they're partly the culprits from some of the games that we had earlier on in the day. And, well, I guess it's the competition that you want. You don't really want anyone to be sort of swept aside this late on, this deep into the tournament. Also, a minor correction from us both, from the wise words of Fantastic Fresh. Whoever wins this is confirmed top 6.
Top 6,
not
okay.
top 8. So even better.
Even better.
Even bigger. Which I believe would also be the best OXG finish off the top of my head.
Have to double check on that in a second after the round. Nello heading up just to clear everything out with the shield. Now he's starting to open up with the Maverick. It's going to be forcing Oxygen off. Not going to be sticking around for much longer. See that he didn't completely open up everything on that bottom hatch. He just made a small line. It's going to be enough to maybe, you know, look through, throw some utility through. I don't know. Or to get the can opener on. There you go. He's getting rid of the Electroclaw out there. On the opposite side as well, but he's going to actually remove that hatch completely. That's giving MNM 2 ways of entry, but 1 minute and 15 left on the clock. It's not a lot that they have. It's not a lot of control they have either. They are yet to go downstairs into blue. And that's what Solotov's doing right now, but a Mute Jammer is going to be stopping his RC Rotero.
Yep, there it is. Actually tried to go slightly towards the electrification on the opposite walls instead, see if they could maybe catch and put the pressure. Look at this though, Nello, about 30 seconds quicker to get to this position than he was before, but he needs the support to come from elsewhere. The drop comes on the hatch, there's a shotgun that's able to get a bit of a lockout. The C4 and a TK and one more on the top means that at least they keep the man advantage. They lost a single player. Newers gets the drop on Solidov once again on a narrow angle. That leaves Nello and Nath alone. They're playing a dangerous game. There's only so much you can do when slowed and slowed they are. Oxygen locked down the site, and a timeout is called from MNM.
And then one more guy, highway speaking. You guys need to do 3-1 on your side.
I didn't want to 3-1, I was dropping straight side, didn't want from shot.
You definitely need to do 3-1 together because otherwise we... I
already said wait for that.
Okay.
Just keep it together. Listen to yourself. We attack together. That's all we want, okay? We want 2 attack together. Okay, you are fine to mistake, no problem. Okay? Just listen to each other. 3, 2, 1, we go. Play together. That's it. Okay?
Yeah, we want to do big tower put or not?
What's it going to be?
We can do kids.
We're going to be kids. We can do the same.
We can do our normal master one.
We haven't done that
Okay,
yet.
do normal master then. Yeah, do normal master. Which one is normal master one? The one I'm playing first now? Okay.
You go first, I'll go first.
Let's win this round, come on.
Yeah.
Close the first game. Close the first game.
They're so shit, they're so shit.
No.
Slider coordination issues coming through. Apparently the 3-2-1 wasn't there.
But it's the thing that OXG read in their attack timeouts. It's that we're not beating them in the 5-on-5 guns, so let's play defense. Let's run the time. Let's make things awkward because, well, MNM suck at that coordination. They suck at that 3-2-1 on this approach, on this map. We need to put the pressure onto where they're weak because at the minute, they're just putting the pressure onto where we're weak, and it's working very, very well. The problem now, MNM, is they've got the onus of time. They've got the pressure of they have to perform at a time. You're not on your defense. They're not playing against you. They don't have to play into you. You've got to play into them. How do you find that tweak? It doesn't matter at the end of the day if all 5 of you are 5 better gunners than them if you just don't get to them in time.
Yeah, that's it. Time is always in favor of the defenders, unless that diffuser goes down, of course. And that is something that Oxygen need to be using to their fullest advantage here in potentially this last round. We just had a tactical timeout. We just had MNM discuss everything that went wrong and everything they need to work on. And that means it's fresh in their heads. And if they can put up the pressure now, they might still be able to lock this first map off in regulation. With pressure being put down on the Sweater, he rotates out, takes a lot of damage, but saves his life. For a second time.
I was going to say, hold your breath. He almost gets killed out pretty much immediately after, but they're able to slink away. An important factor because, as we said, the longer that OXG players can survive, the less MNM have to work with, and the more of a pressure they're under. And you can see that they're actually doing that in motion as well. Look at the hold OXG have here. They're all back. They're all keeping themselves really close to their chest. They don't have any wild extensions. You know, Trophy has been smashed open already. The wall of walk-in is fully locked and electrified. They have some angles to watch underneath, sure, but the push is one that is built around the idea of let's slow them down. There's a bit of a break underneath. And there is the impact catch. Very, very well played, but it will have maybe just,
It's going to be too late there. As soon as the impact came through, the Electroclaw was going to reactivate themselves. So Oxygen, they've really done well here with making sure that the Heart Breach is not going to be finding what they're looking for. And that means they'll be focusing on just a couple of doorways now for MNM. Not looking too strong for them.
Yeah, it's a bit rock and rough and not quite ready. Newers, stop doing that to Solotov, please. At this point, it's a compilation, and wow, he's more than happy to be on the right end of it. Sweater gets Usus as well, a 5 versus 3 in OXG. They're setting themselves up to claw back round after round into their map pick. The drive across the board, the pressure, the air jabs, and a bit of a blind with Nath suffering on the wrong end of it. There's still a couple of scrapes, but without the finish, Shweta is able to get one more. That's the rotate underneath inside Classroom. Tyrant, he's surrounded. He might just try and make a move into the site. There was still some Banshees. There's the side of one, but Shweta still wins it out, and OXG fight their way back to OT.
Themselves are flawless as a reply upon MNM's tactical timeout. It's going to be hurting. And we'll continue this way. MNM will stay on attack for overtime, meaning they will play 2 rounds here. And they've only won 2 out of 6 so far. Both of them were Laundry.
I mean, you have to give credit here to Fox, keeping a very cool head on the team, sort of saying throughout the many different phases of this game, you know, it's a 2-4 half, that's not the end of the world. We'll still be able to pull this back, and being proven very right. Then, obviously, when they push their way in and they start losing a couple of those defenses, giving the word to wisdom, working alongside, obviously, the team and sort of saying, this is where we can beat them and proving it.
They are indeed, and the last time they came to Laundry, MNM, they were picked apart. They did not have what they needed to have to be successful. That means Oxygen, they learned from their mistakes. They were able to adapt to it. And if they just play that again, the exact same thing, they should find themselves with success and lead themselves in 6-7 on this first map for round 14. Now, only time will tell. 3 minutes on the clock have started about 10 seconds ago. And this means a lot to MNM because their defenses are solid. Oxygen's attacks are also not the best, but they just need to make the difference on the attack now, MNM.
Well, the turtle begins once again. We compare this to the first hold here and how it's grown into it. It is cards to the chest. It's the pull back. There's obviously no Monty, no push there, no front line or front wall. Just a shutout, just an angle, just the ideas across the board. All 5 OXG players already back down towards the site.
Tyrant following. Down Fraser stairs, he's being hot droned in, and they'll be aware of the fact that he's coming. He's ready for the jump up. It's currently not being used by any of the Oxygen members. It looks like they want to go for a bit of a crouch peek as well, but just so they can actually focus at him with 3 guns from the back of Laundry as well. So MNM, what they need to do is divide that attention, attack from multiple points, work together at the same time to catch them off guard.
Control of the hatches. That's the next step here, but again, it's all the worry of the end 30 seconds that becomes the big issue. You can't just have a deep dive down into the site. You can't just have a single gunner pop off. There has to be a little bit more of the grab before the smash, and it's always been where they've struggling. You look at just how much core utility from OXG is dedicated around these first points of pressure. They have entirely encircled the site in a ring of nightmare with the discs, with the catch, with the Banshees, the ADSs, the mute jammers. It is entirely just a blank spot of audio, intel, and control that now, this dangerous donut of utility, MNM have to try and smash through.
Smoke grenade used. That is going to be slowing him down a little bit more. There's one left in Dream's pocket that he could go for 50 seconds. MNM, they might just actually have to make a call to just start running through. Tyrant takes a little bit of damage as he takes the fight with Newers, but he doesn't quite connect. Neither does Newers as both stay alive. 40 seconds, they need to go now.
That's it, the pressure needs to come. There's somebody quite close, it's Newers holding on. He goes a bit further, gives some of the game away, swings towards the barrel from Shaiko. Spot doesn't get that either. The shotgun close to Dream, and OXG is stepping in to make this uncomfortable. Pops some pellets around the corner, but the timer is ticking here against MNM. There's the first, and it's Newers to take Tyrant on the back stairs. The spray over the barrels blocks them off. Vertical finds Users in the meantime. They're trying to drive down elbow. They're going for the push and the pre-fire, but it's Newers! Round on the back for the flawless for OXG.
The back-to-back flawless coming through. They are on fire right now.
Let's get it. Let's finish this fucking map, boys. Come on.
And they are on map point. They've turned it around from 6-2. You mentioned it. We've seen these comebacks happen this tournament. Well, this was another one. And now it's Oxygen's to close out on the attack. Again, we're headed towards Laundry, it seems like. MNM, can you hold on? Can you bring this to a round 15? Now, of course, their attacks haven't looked too great, but if they couldn't make the difference in that last round, they might be able to do it in the next, as long as they stay in it. And stay in it, they need to win this one. MNM suddenly became, well, not really the tournament favorite, but one of the teams that people could agree with seeing them win, as they went flawless through their groups. And now they might, you know, face their first true hurdle, which is Oxygen, who's looking to take that first map away from them.
I mean, this is, what, 2 for 2 of Oxygen being on the back foot today and coming back into the series, and we know how the second map went for them earlier on today, and you have to give so much credit to this roster for being able to sort of go, we can evaluate this, we can push, there's a tension around it, but it's a different focus. You can see it there on US when they're going for the swing. There's a sort of need to get back into the game. Get me in the next round, coach. I'm ready to send this one home up to the top. Nave pulls back, though. Not going to sit around and find out what happens next. It's already a bit too much pressure, and, well, they're going for the pace on the clear here.
For a second there, I thought he was pulling off before he actually had the good opportunity to go for, you know, the vertical fight, but he was actually on the wrong window there, so wasn't even going to be able to stop Newers. So, right call to fall back at that point. And Newers is quickly going to be taking control of that first floor now. He's descending the tower quickly. Switter is going to be joining him with the Inox scanner. He's going to be trying to find out if there's any footsteps. There's some green on the ground, which means that someone has been here in recent history. It's about to be turning blue, so footsteps are only going to be giving you one scan. Mute on the freezer stairs. No longer have to worry about it.
They've got the force on the player, and, well, they're there. You know this at this point, but it buys you some more of that safety. OXG, they've got to make sure that they can sort of step in where we've seen MNM fail here and where they've stated so. The actual impact, the attack on the site. MNM, they want to try and force them into wider engagements, give them more that they have to clear, more that they have to draw to, and Nello, as a Saudi, doesn't like sitting around and risking that. He's still got a lot of, you know, power in those guns. He's still got a lot of chance at a C4 as well. So before this pressure comes around, double stacked, just leave, get out there, and hopefully they'll spend an extra 20 seconds looking for you.
3 C4s available on MNM for this last minute, potentially to be on the clock. Oxygen gathering around the hatches, gathering around the staircases. Just like MNM, they missed that 3, 2, 1, go.
A bomb has been located.
And they should start counting down soon. An EMP ready to stop any of the ADSs out there, just to follow up with a grenade to take care of any player right behind the pillar. That must be the plan. And that's the execute as well.
There it is, a bit of a scrap. Nafe goes down, the grenade is the first lead in, and the rest comes right onto the stairs. Sweater pre-firing the angles, but the reveal of the player pushes them back down. Freezer, 30 seconds though, and you've still got to try and break this grand divide, the width of the angle, and Solotov, if there's a time to start finding the heads, right now is perfect, with Users getting one of his own on the opposite end. Fox A stuck behind the big pillar, and Solotov sticks it to Newers for the first time in a while. Dream, the reverse plant, and Fox trying to hold got the angle, doesn't get the slip, should be a C4 and is. And we're going all the way.
We're going all the way to 15. It might not have been the case. I mean, I like to see the ADS play there. Use the EMP to get rid of the ADS, get the nade kill onto Pillar and try and lock yourself in from there on. But MNM, they were ready for it. They were waiting for it. And now we're getting to this crucial round 15. I mean, we have been here before twice today already with Wolves and G2. Back then, it both went to Wolves. Is it going to be another EU team to take it, or will Oxygen take the first map of MNM's tournament? They're on the defense. That speaks well for them because it has been so far, what was it, 10 rounds for defense, only 4 for attack. Yeah, that does work out like that. Just quickly, does that add up to 14? That does add up to 14.
Nice.
I know calculating while on the go is still a skill, but it is a crucial round for MNM. And you know, they haven't won an attack ever since round 8. Then they lost 4 attacks in a row. They started looking more and more disjointed as they went on. So I really hope that just quickly being on that defense did them well.
The attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Oh, this is tough, MNM. We already know which side of this is the preferred side, and we already know that it's been a problematic one for you, OXG. This is their map. This is their first pick. We'll be heading into Skyscraper regardless next, but whether we find ourselves on the third is the future to be told, because Club, I mean, it's got a good functionality for both teams, but it's known for both teams. It's common for both teams. Heck, we've even seen it already today for one of these teams. So, at what point do we start thinking and posturing towards that, regardless of who wins this? Solotov needs to find a little bit more success on his gun game on attack so far. If he can get a body, get in, get some of that competitive flair that we know he can deliver, and second bit of sharpness.
A minute has passed. MNM now taking care of that top floor. Rotations are starting to be out, but Newers is receiving a bit of pressure. Drones are rolling through. The entry soon to be looked for. They're going to be entering games. They're going to be entering from trophy. This is a double pinch maneuver. They're hoping to find Newers, because if they shut him down, that is a huge kill to come in. The grenade gets tossed in. Is not going to be able to find anybody so far.
Yeah, that's it. He's taken the time to rotate. He slipped out of there, and to be honest, we've seen these slip rotates actually be punished immediately after. There's a swing. Tyrant, he can't get the connection, but neither can Sweater, and he's going to get out of there before things get a bit too dicey. But with the damage done, you're now looking at one of those 3 C4s, plus the impact being something a lot more deadly towards Tyrant with much less range and radius on them. He's got to be a bit more coquettish on the approaches. The double up Claymore isn't going to be utilized there. 2 for 2 on the doors. The breaks start to come across the boards.
A minute left on the clock. Dream taking small amounts of damage as well. Verticality is here. Nave opening up with the Caber, making sure that a lot of the vertical spots in sight are no longer able to be played. They need to go outside, otherwise they are in danger. Solotov aware, he has a ping, he gets the kill. That's the first. Newers drops.
What a perfect time for that battle of back and forth to swing into Solotov's favor, and Newers can only watch now and hope the 30 seconds they've got left from the time that he was wasted before is enough for OXG to clutch this on. Talking of Dream, he's holding, waiting for the approach via Zulu as the kit is being touched. Nello caught though. Dream, he has been the man of the moment for just this. Solotov caught by Sweater as well, fighting their way back across it. Naif picked up, but it's about to be a double. The cover's there, but the kid is caught once again. Got to make the death dive for the distance. There's one more fight, and that is OXG's map.
MNM, it was looking good for them in that last round, and then they went for the plant whilst not having full control. Oxygen punished them for it twice. You mentioned the name Dream. He has been crucial for them in this map. Just like Newers, just like Fox, the entirety of OXG did what they needed to do. They brought themselves back from 6-2 to an 8-7 victory.
A rough and rocky road there for MNM, and you know, they were in positions where they could have locked it out. It is the first map they have dropped all tournament. They should try and remember the fact that, well, they haven't dropped any others and there's still 2 more to go. It's not about points, it's not about getting the 4, the 3 or the 1, but getting themselves in the top 6. And that is something that will be settled maybe on the next, maybe a little bit later. We'll throw to a quick break before we're back with map 2.
I'm Nicholas Mortensen, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
The round convincingly for his team. Can he do it again?
I think Lost One have obviously decided the game plan here is fast and frenzied. Get your way in and find those gunfights. They really want to take it to Wolves, but maybe it's not panning out so well. Rise, he's the last one alive. He's in a 1v2. He's got all the time in the world. There's plenty of drones, 5 left on the field, so he may be able to get some information fed back to him, but he's going to have to find 2 successful gunfights if he wants to win this.
He's in no real rush here as well. Got a bit of utility he can play behind in the form of the call, and hopefully that gives him some idea as to what's going on. Maybe drones nearby picking it up, but simply not going to help out. Bibu with a nasty little shot. Shoves him out the round, and Wolves get themselves on the board.
I'm a little bit concerned for Lost One. Their entire game plan, Dyers, cannot be, let's just run into sight every round. You know, they give it a minute, see where everybody is, and then bang, they're inside of sight trying to get kills. It is not going to work every single time. Wolves are a smart team. You know, they've got some of our most experienced players in the game. They've been around the block. They know what's what. And they're not going to start falling for that over and over again. They got away with it in round 1. It's not worked in round 2. I'd like to see Lost One show us something else here on Villa, because I'm sure they've got plenty of other plans.
You know what I've just remembered about Wolves on Villa? Bibu, no!
It did happen on Villa, yeah. He was running in through master bedroom.
He was indeed. I think it was Shepard defusing. I want to say it was that long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Shepard was defusing and Bibu took too long to get in.
It took too long to get in.
You decried at the very end of the round. Bibu, no!
I think was it something like, I can't remember exactly. It was something. It was Bibu in a 1v3 or something, and he got a couple of the kills and just needed to get the person off the diffuser.
Yeah, but held outside too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good times. Good
classic.
Times.
Another classic line.
We've had some good ones on this map. We had Bath Bomb from Sloth.
You
when
did,
the
yeah.
came in.
You did. I've used that as an example a few times to people.
We've actually had a good few little fun ones on Villa. It's one of those maps that sort of brings about the joy.
For anybody who didn't see that, that was Sloth, currently of Heroic, of course, just hiding inside the bathtub. And a nade was thrown in on him, and Des screamed, "There's your bath bomb."
Good night, I think I said straight after as well. And sure enough, he did.
He did die.
And then you said, "Is the only thing bubbling out of here is Sloth's life?" And I was like, that's a bit morbid.
It was.
It was great.
Speak only the truth, Des.
Only the truth, Tim. Shinka, let's speak some more truths. Holding down towards main stairs before doubling back in towards site. Here looking to use these vertical angles to challenge anyone trying to work in below. Has people helping out from below, though? Has the ability to adapt and react whenever they hear where the aggression is coming from. Interestingly, on that Malusi out on the roam, I know we keep on speaking about it, but being a one-speed, she's nowhere near as fast as she used to be, and also far noisier when she comes running back towards site.
Okay, there's not too much south-sided pressure at the minute, much as we saw
we got top down, I didn't realise.
Yeah, we've got everything here,
Damn.
It's mostly coming from the north side. We're on board with Lobin at the minute, who's looking to get something going inside 90 corridor. Going to be supported by Dots, who gets himself onto that 90 window. And as you can see, Lobin just coming around there. Dots is going to try to open up the vault at range. This is going pretty well so far. 1 minute 30, and lost one this time. Not just running into sight. This is what I wanted to see. Let's go back, to some proper Villa play, and that's what we see.
Yeah, just trying to cut out below as well, again, to stop, I think, Wolves getting downstairs and trying to make use of things like C4s, impacts, whatever it might be to deny the plant when it does eventually look to come through. It's a good idea to start priming things at the...
It is a good idea, Daz, but we'll leave that to them on the B stream, and we're back here with the A and map 2, MNM versus OXG. OXG were able to claim the first map, but it was all the distance, and to be honest, probably shouldn't have been. MNM, they had a 6-2 lead on Oregon that unfortunately filtered away to a 7-8 loss to a great OXG comeback.
Yeah, really should have been able to lock that out somewhere, but a bit of disconnect coming through in their final couple of attacks. Especially the last one, by the way, that looked quite promising from MNM, but just unaware of that one player in the freezer stairs made it so they could stop that. Plan denial happened twice. It's never really good to see that.
He hit so many of those.
He definitely did. Now, what does this mean? It means that they lost their first map of the entire tournament.
It does.
Which is not a, small thing to consider.
Yeah, it's nothing that...
If you were looking at their faces, they weren't too happy, MNM. Like, there was some annoyances out there because they knew themselves they are better than the way they play.
Oh, it's a frustrating thing. The fact that you're that close, the fact that it's just a couple of things like that that slip away and you find yourself having to fight round after round and lose round after round after round. And, it's tough. That's the sort of thing you highlight at this point. You don't want to be sort of... thinking over, well, we should have won it, we could have won it. There was a couple of whatever. It doesn't matter. You've got to try and brush that off. You've got to remember that you are the top seed of any of the teams to get out of groups. You're more than capable of bringing a fight back, and this might be the first time that you have to do it from a deficit, but if you can do this, I mean, the idea, there's no unbeaten winner. There's no run that you make entirely perfect without risk and without moments going away from
very rare to happen indeed. That a team like that, that's any esports in general, by the way, win an entire tournament without ever dropping a map. It's so hard, and it's good to lose as well, because that teaches you how to deal with that situation in a tournament like this. But we're headed into the next map. We're headed into Skyscraper with Oxygen currently one leg ahead of MNM. And because of that, I will be starting off on their stats. Over the last year, they have played Skyscraper a total of 30 times. They've won it twice, lost it once. They've won it against Dark Zero and BDS. They've lost it against Astralis. So it isn't like one of their favorite maps. They banned it a total of 22 times over the year. It was banned against them 19 times over the year. So, that's pretty 50-50, which means pretty indifferent about whether or not they play it. But usually it ends up not being the case. For MNM, this is considered to be quite a good map of themselves. 27 times it was banned against them. They've played it 6 times, lost it once against Black Dragons, and they've won it against Sonics, Wolves, Astralis, BDS, and G2 over the last year. So this should be the confidence that they need to get back into it.
It's got to be, because, you know, we sort of highlight Skyscraper as one of those maps that's a little bit awkward to attack. It's a little bit awkward to control. You're trying to find parts of land. You're trying to find a fight across what is a lot of boxes, a lot of small, sort of insignificant corners. And then suddenly there's somebody behind you. Suddenly there's a problem. Yep. Time can be so problematic. You have a good gunner on the loose there, and they don't have too many places to escape, because they don't need them as much as other maps and sites. There's, I wouldn't call it specifically clutter, but there is architecture built into the hard brick and mortar of the map that you can really use to your creative advantage here to slow people down.
Yes, but that could also haunt both these teams, considering their attacks were overall quite slow. So if one of them can speed it up here, that team is probably going to be in favor. MNM will be starting off on that attack. Let's see if they can speed up instantly as we go. Karaoke NT is going to be the first site we approach. Valkyrie is going to be in play. It's probably like the second time in this tournament I have casted a Valkyrie being in play. It's banned quite a lot.
I mean, yeah, you sort of have an operator that, even with the change to internal cameras, she's still very, very powerful. She's now got the MPX with more damage, and the MPX has always sort of been known as a dangerous gun. With the changes, with the damage you can make to it, it's now even more. And there's point of the proof, Newers still continuing to terrorize Solotov in their fight where they seem to be going back and forth and trading blood. I'm not entirely sure what the count is at the minute of one or the other, but it's far from over.
No, it's far from over. I mean, we're only headed into map 2 now, and if this one heads to 15 rounds again, we might just as well see map 3 underway, where they can continue fighting. Tyrant is in the building. Man had a good first map, but started slowing down a little bit throughout the second part of it. And that's something we would like to see change if MNM is to find success. Now, the Keeper barriers are going to be stopping him from truly moving in, well, carefree. It'll be Newers that takes down another kill, uses gets dropped. It is definitely not Oxygen slowing down right here, as MNM, their attack is being picked apart before it even takes any shape.
And obviously we didn't make it a comment before, but the IQ gun means the Valkyrie, for all that she has power, she's going to get even more. Tyrant, yeah, a deserved ooh there from you. A great little take over the top of the Keeper barricade, and with these forest drones you can actually open yourself a couple more rotations and angles. However, you have to force play on this portion. The dance over past the dragon towards the side of drum as well is probably what most of a round is made up with on your attack here, making those players get into a tricky situation, whether it's needed to help you lead in towards Geisha and force Newers further away, whether it's, you know, the sort of play. It's just a big structural part of this map that passes as an awkward play space. Oh, there is a spray through, and that is a little bit of luck, but a demonstration of a huge amount of skill. Tyrant gets the end of him, but I don't think you're wiping that smile off his face.
You're definitely not going to be. That's, I believe, a Newers 4K that we've seen right now.
Yeah, a casual opening 4K.
Casual with an MPX, just, you know, swinging, holding that fire button, taking down these players through barricades. And you might be thinking, how does he know that? Well, first of all, he hears them walk. He knows where the head level is. He just goes for it. You just attempt it, and you get it. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose them. This time, Newers won massively. 1-0 Oxygen, a great start. And as I was talking about MNM needing to speed up their attacks a little bit, they never got to attacking in the first place in that first round. Because they're just being picked apart before anything took any shape.
I mean, that was just... It was the dynamite that he's been throughout the whole tournament. He's made sure he's sort of a statement player in peace, and here he's gone, can I have the Azami, you assume? Fose's gone, yeah, all right.
I mean, you don't really want to tell him no, right? After he just got a 4K, just kind of let the man play what he wants to play.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And I think that's the sort of blow that, I mean, the spray through the soft, there's nothing you can really do against that situation, leaning into the following fight. But at that point, when you're in the, you know, 5 versus 2, you're more than happy to do those fights.
Destroyed a Mew Gemmer by putting down the mirror window.
Whoops.
A little bit too low. Happens sometimes. Certainly it's going to be making it a bit easier for MNM to open up that wall. I wonder if they're actually even aware on the side of Oxygen are going to repurpose one of the Mew Gemmers to make sure they can actually keep that close. Because the Thatcher ban would make it very difficult to get rid of it, so they definitely need to do something about it.
Keep a barricade to sort of slow down the approach. They made, hey, we're over here, pop up on the screen of everybody, and that means MNM has to go, damn, they're over there. And they might need to pay a little bit more focus to it than they originally wanted. The break, you do it there, so it does this, gets that wall as well, gets you that angle, a 2-for-1, and saves you that bit of utility, and makes it so even if there's electrification on that wall, or, you know, something that's out of the radius, you can get that wall popped open.
Back in the day, we used to actually see with these tricks, teams on defense open up these walls, so they wouldn't be able to do this with opening up a barricade reinforcement right next to it. We haven't really been seeing that anymore. It just takes a couple of shotgun shots just to make sure it doesn't go up as far to the right as possible. But it's just, you know, it's such a far walk and there's so much other setup to do that probably is just too much hassle for a wall that's probably going to be opening up anyway.
Yeah, we are in an era of the game, and sure, reinforcements are a bit quicker, but there's a lot in people's pockets to get placed, and there's a lot of bullets being popped via the open mirror window into Fox A. He's just going to pull himself a bit further away. Doesn't want to be the early victim here. He's the man himself who sort of said, look, MNM are slow. Let's slow them down even more. Do not feed yourself into the gunfights. Newers probably gets a free pass on that. However, can MNM try and prove otherwise? There was compliments paid to them as a Skyscraper team. There's been great demonstrations of how they can approach this, the operators and utility that they can bring. There's always the chance at some quick slip by, but as the drone doesn't quite get the catch, a minute on, they're putting the pressure onto Terrace. But it needs to come with a little bit more fire behind it.
They need to work together in this one, so probably after the RC Rotero, that's when Solotov is going to make the swing. The E1D is going to keep them at pace, keep them at bay. This explosion happens, it's Sweater to go aggressive as Solotov to punish him, so the entry goes for MNM.
Yeah, I think Sweater sort of felt that the pressure was coming all across the board. Dream suffers next. He's trying to stay a little bit low here. He doesn't quite know where to do. The wall is open itself. Newers is supporting from the swing. There's somebody close to his right, but behind him is where the catch comes through. 30 seconds. MNM, they've been able to find two bodies. They just need to make the final connection with Fox A on the big rotate round on the back end. However, the time to put the kit means somebody's going to be out of commission. They've got to see if they can try and force the engagement. We know that they've suffered on the wrong end, and there's Fox A getting one vertical. Looks for the slip by. Nello gets the drive, but then Usus gets picked up in the meantime with Nafe on the back end. It's Fox A to see if he can try and stop this diffuser go down. The hit of the impact, the red pings on the players, the spray through, but the kit will get planted. 40 seconds on the clock, and not much else to his name at this point, with them having gadgetry and the ability to pull themselves further back. It will just take a clip from any of the guns. And the first and the impact don't quite get the full lock onto Tyrant. You can't quite make that as the full route through. Oh, they're just giving him nothing.
And there you go. Instant reply coming in from MNM. A good round coming in, isolating those players, taking care of the initial swing was the most difficult part.
Yep.
That was a one-on-one. They won that one out, and afterwards they had these long angles to stop Newers from going aggressive when he was about to be turning the tides again for the side of Oxygen. So well done there. Working together, making sure you have angles for one another. But now Newers is going to be aware of that as well. If they do go back to that side at some point, that, you know, once you lose Terrace, you can no longer go for a swing like that. And he will be a bit more careful. Also, Fox was using the MPX. No extended barrel, by the way. I was going to say, still a pea shooter, but he wasn't using it, so it makes sense that it was still a pea shooter. He's using a recoil attachment, just to make it a bit easier to hit the heads. Which is, of course, the main point of killing in most of the games.
I have heard that.
Yes, it's the easiest way. Just, you know, hit the little hitbox, instant kill. We're going to the barbecue, the hungriest side of them all. Do we need to go back to why?
Like the slogan.
Yeah.
The hungriest side of them all.
Hungriest side of them all.
Barbecue, kitchen, sushi, pantry. Delicious. And not bathroom. Please don't show bathroom.
Eating, yeah.
I don't know who's observing this. Newers, once again, angling himself up for a fight, hoping a long-distance rappel comes through, but No, everybody has drifted off. You don't have to give that one up so quickly, though. Obviously, if they drone you out and pre-fire, you're in a bit of a dangerous spot. Yep. But you're quite close to the site, closer than he was the last time. He did a little bit of a run out onto the balk, so he can make sure that he can do this, play around the space, push himself actually further away, and cause those engagements to happen later on. There's no immediate pressure, because that will actually come probably towards this, the second story. We can hear the break going, the mirror window's there to do exactly that. You pop it open so they cannot get the full rotate, and you do that, the impact. So now it's been a big cost to Salmers. I think it's
breachable though, walkable, faultable, rather.
Well, there's another impact. That one overshoots though. Ooh, just couldn't get the last one. And the wall is now passable.
Now it's walkable instead of vaultable, so that's going to be helping them out slightly here. Newer still active from a window to another, watching through the outside, hoping to catch one off guard. Oxygen, of course, they haven't received too much pressure yet, just a little bit on the geisha, but it's nothing to be too worried about. That's basically default stuff. We still need to go down one floor. We still need to see that full fight on the top floor commence as well, and there's about 90 seconds left on the clock and a couple of mirror windows that still need to be cleared out by MNM. So, all in all, Oxygen in a really good position here.
That's it, this is the problem mark. Can they sort of etch that off and get an opener? Bit of an explosive, a bit of an explosion. They're forcing themselves angles, so if the hop-in comes through, it's going to be dangerous. There's the player tucked right around gold, Foxay. He's going to hope he goes unchecked here. It could be a dangerous bit of damage. There's a bounce of a grenade. They seem to have a bit of keen awareness. Somebody's around there. The drone rolls on through. There's another reveal, but it's all time being pulled and filtered away from this, the push. We know our XG can rotate. We know they can go for aggressive retakes. Solotov finds a bit of danger and destruction, but finally someone is gone. Usus does get the first. There's Foxay popping right back up to get the revenge. Vertical's holding the support cover. Fox is just spraying down Tyrant, but there's Vertical, as I said, exactly with the support. Solotov. And it seems like they're suffering on the wrong end, but learning lessons taught by blood. They still need to get the player caught in the corner. There's Sweater popping up and getting Nafe at the same time, though, and MNM is unable to do anything without being punished by a mystery OXG player.
As soon as a player is in gold, it's going to be very difficult to get rid of them there, and just so much damage done. And now they walk into the site. Newer's fully aware he's just going to be waiting patiently to finish off the last player, and that's Oxygen winning the round and putting themselves back in the lead. Of course, already one leg into the next round as they won that first map, and are looking to continue onwards. They are on that defense. They're hoping to basically repeat down onto the same theme that MNM has had on the previous map. They start getting a bit slow at some point, and you saw it here as well. They knew the site was barbecue, but it took them up until 30 seconds left in the round before finally being able to go downstairs, because there was so many players upstairs from Oxygen, and they were just unable to deal with them properly.
Yeah, Newers, he was happy to wait. What he wanted there was the player to start trying to plant, just tucked in the side, and then give the game away at the end. The timer was so close that it would have rolled over either way. He had the trick of discipline, and he just sort of said, I can wait. And then as he thought the fight was going to slip away from his position without moving, you know, minimize the risk.
You probably got, you know, he was waiting for it, heard that the other player got down, and it's like, okay, then it's just this one left, so better just finish it off. If you don't know if a second is following, you know, that's when you hold that trick of discipline if you've gone and spotted. So he did well there. Now, spawn peek attempt, using the camera, Fox up. Hoping to see anybody out on a bit of a rappel. That's one player out there that he is aware of. But he also knows that that probably means they're not going to be coming from his rappel. They're coming from the opposite side of house. And the actual other side of the building as well. So he falls back, doesn't want to stick around. You don't want to be giving your life away, especially not when you're leading 1-2 on Skyscraper here.
Entirely that. You know that MNM, they're cautious on their approaches, and it's just, as I said many times, it's just sort of declaring yourself as a presence over there on exhibition. You make them have to come in, and yeah, you give them a hole like that they can crouch on through, but otherwise it's just an opening anyway. And this way you're at least sort of saying, well, come and pay attention. There's the ping, the cover of the soft. Siren can use it to get some cover, and he's going to shoot it out with a bit of safety so he doesn't suffer on the wrong end of that. Sweater. The Kiba barricades give him some control from the window as well, so they're not going to be able to get too much of a hop and a swing, or maybe a bounce of a precautious grenade, precocious even.
Let's keep them guessing. MNM, a minute 15 has passed. What do you have? Well, you have House under control, but there's that big divider between the House and the west side of the building that they haven't been able to pass yet. And yes, they're knocking on the front door off Vertical now. They're going to be opening up Geisha with an exothermic, and surely that is going to go off without any form of counter coming through from Oxygen. But they still need to clear out the people. They still need to clear out the players. And they haven't been doing too great of a job so far, MNM, with this. They need to speed it up a little bit, and taking down that shield is a great start. It's going to be forcing them to fall back a little bit further. A lot of damage done onto Vertical. In the meantime, as well, but as C4 flies through, takes down Solotov.
Yeah, that was perfect. Over the box and right dropped and delivered, and there it is. The first entry body goes away from them, even though it's been delayed such a long amount of time. They still couldn't quite find that success in that final push on it, and there's still so much work left to be done. Foxay goes wide a little bit at the end of that just to see if he can do some damage. The drone was getting the read. The Dream was holding it close as well, so we can't entirely abandon the position for the surprise. There's Nello, caught by Vertical inside Geisha, I believe. And now, what do you do, MNM? Because, well, you've certainly lost a lot of the control. Gold, seeing if you can get that cracked open. But without the width on the stairs, well, you're going to try and get that made now. There's pre-fires coming across. There's pressure up those main stairs. The scrappy fight from users. They're looking for the Melusi and the Banshee. They drive themselves through. Tyrant gets one. Dream gets Nave. There's the tucked player, but he needed to reload. Didn't expect the position. Tyrant, no health and nowhere to go. OXG, they get their third round.
Good shit, good shit, good shit.
They were fucking sending the whole army. I wanted to leave. But just wait 2 seconds, let me just repel it. Okay.
Now my EMP hasn't got your gold. By the way, EMP for gold, just give me gold. Take it from each other on the door.
He's listening. Always gives you a little bit of insight in how the teams are feeling, and where you have like the let's go, like we're sending the whole armies with Oxygen. It's saying, you hear Nello on the other side, I can't believe it. Right. It's like, it's not really going as they planned it. And that's what I was afraid of. After they lost that first map, you saw the looks on their faces. It's like they need a mental reset. But starting off on the attack, after you just struggle so much attacking, probably was not the thing that helped them to get back into their own confidence and own rhythm.
It's tricky. It's, you know, I guess you're proven mortal.
Yes.
And that's the one point that you come off riding the high. The high could last for a very long time, and you can build behind that. If you put, I'm not saying they put all of their eggs in one basket, but if you have a basket of delicious eggs and you finally find the bottom of it, sometimes it can be a little bit like, oh, okay, gotta go back to the store, gotta recollect more eggs.
I've never heard someone describe a team that might have a small slump as
having an eggless basket.
No, having to go back to the store to grab
more eggs for your basket.
But yeah, maybe they need to get more eggs. Who knows? Didn't have enough of breakfast here today. Maybe they prefer the 10 a.m. eggs rather than the, what is it now?
The analogy isn't about the eggs.
6 p.m. eggs.
Dutch people just don't understand things. Coming in now for the pressure over terrace. MNM. You assume if this one slips away, it'll be a timeout just to see if they can piece together one more attack before they go over to the other hand. They should still have a decent swing at it on their defense. However, with momentum in the favor of their opponents, still a cautious approach. The disc will get the catch on the first.
Mirror window.
Yeah, and the deploy of the mirror window. Because I think the were my disc, because it just moved the grenade, it was still popped off. And there it is. The Selma will go instead of the exothermic, but there's the breach instantly against it.
I think we were trying to trick the exothermic with it, and well, Nello actually pulled it back off, so that wasn't quite a success, but at least they made sure that the wall's not going to be walkable, at least for now, and I don't think they're going to be using too much more utility at that as well. I'm quickly checking 2 more Selmas, 2 more exothermics. Could be the case. It's Solid to find a kill with a grenade. That mirror window is quickly going to be punched out, so they have to shoot it out if they want to look through it.
Now, as the break starts to come through on the main breach, they don't quite have the stuff to stop it going off this time round, but they do have a backline, they have an angle, and they might have a problem with the player underneath. They're paying a bit of keen attention to it, making sure there isn't a rotate round on the back end. Obviously, it was a grenade as a lead-in, but they're all out of them. So at this point, it's got to be a little bit more of a direct hit and line through onto the site itself. With the main breach open, And what sounds like the top of house stairs done too. It's Tyrant actually that gets called off next. Vertical with the shotgun. Gets the lockdown, just holding on to house stairs with a wide swing. That buys them back to 4 versus 4.
Yeah, they were very aware of the fact that Tyrant was starting to move in, so quickly took him out before he became too problematic. Talking about problematic, Newers in a position where he could go for a swing in just a couple of seconds. Sweater takes down Solotov to jump in, and the side is actually there, but it seems like they're fully aware of it. If it's not for the crossfire, takes down Sweater, protects his teammate, brings it to that 3-on-3.
Newers is still holding the distance, but the kit is the most important part, and that's got to make a bit of a death dive distance across the board. Nafe finds one. Newers gets dropped as well. It's the 3 versus 1 Dream. He's been able to clutch these situations. That C4 gets shot out mid-air. He goes for the fight and wins the next. Nello should get this diffuser stuck. He's on the other side of the hard wall. They can't quite get the width, and they have the cover as well. There's a second attack round for MNM.
Well done there. Again, some long angles working in MNM's favor, making sure that they're able to pick up these players from Oxygen, trying to rotate through, trying to provide some cover. You saw it there with Newers as well. He was wanting to look through the breach, but he was being shot at by 2 other members from MNM at that same time. He looks over to them, and then the breach shoots him down. So it is good teamwork we saw from MNM. But it's the second time they've won Exhibition. It's the second time we've seen them do this kind of stuff on Exhibition. Just need to see it on these other sites to come through. And as we're headed towards Barbecue again, maybe a more direct approach through horizontal means would be better than to take full top floor, because they are just too slow to achieve it.
I mean, that's sort of the idea there as well. As he highlighted, we got some width from MNM's hold, and by that I mean there was multiple different angles watched. There was, you know, pressure on the window where the diffuser had done the hop in. They had the big breach being watched, and it was the synergy of that width that led to a result. It was one that was missing on Oregon. It was what Nello was calling and talking about. We're not having the 3-2-1 of your guys push on the same side. We're getting away from what we can do in terms of that coordination, in terms of that approach. Finding it there and seeing if they can get one more attack at the even half could do them a lot of good as they head over to try and stop them on the defense.
Newers again attempting for a spawn peek here. At least it's from the helicopter side. I don't think anybody's going to be giving anything to him. Not early on, at least. Jesus is thinking about just quickly opening up the geisha here. Mute-Jammer is going to be stopping him from achieving that goal. His rotation needs to come around from Nave to get a impact EMP on point. C4 pulled. Fox is just waiting for a repel sound or repel in sound, so he could just start throwing that towards the attacker up on the balcony. But Users knows that. He's aware of it. He's staying up on his repel rope. He's not going to be going inside quickly, because he knows as soon as he does that, he's kind of a sitting duck.
Yeah, that's it. He's aware of a huge bit of pressure. He gets the eye on the Wamai, pulls himself back. Still doesn't know about Fox. Doesn't want to get caught out by the drone there. And as long as Fox A is here, undeterred, unstopped, unpressured, he's going to become more and more of a problem. Nello gets the C4. The risk didn't quite work. Now they have the ping on the player, and he Commando crawls out of there. The wall should get popped open, and will, so Fox A will find somewhere else to escape to. MNM, about a minute 30 past. They've put the pressure onto Karaoke. They've survived some of it so far. They've survived breaking open Geisha Wall. It was the next step where things proved kind of dangerous.
It took him a minute, though, to get the impact EMP over from Nave, and that has cost them a lot of valuable time that they might now run out of. Calls are coming through. Fox's position might be compromised as a result of it, so he falls back. Nave gets a couple of shots down onto Vertical. That's the entry kill for MNM, one that they do desperately need in this last one, but they strike back on either side. 4v3, MNM still in an advantage, but they need to go down to Barbecue.
There's the fight onto Newers, taking it right into the site itself. Sweater, he's buried on the back. Solotov is looking for the fight up towards the hatch. Does Sweater know that they're right around the corner here? He's hoping he goes for a bit of movement as the Nook waits the drop and the swing round. There's the take. Do they know of the last? He's right around the corner. They're just able to pop him off, and we get an even first half here.
Work every time, bro. Old classics always fucking work.
These wanted the defense so badly as well, by the way.
Yeah, because they can't attack from them.
I try to go to the knock and get somewhere.
Well, they wanted defense so bad.
They got it. They got the 3 rounds. Now the defense is coming over for MNM. And as I said, the classics work. And more of a horizontal approach here worked out for them as well, because they had one or two working on taking that horizontal approach, whereas the rest took care of top floor. Compared to what we've seen before, is that everybody was working on the top floor. They lost so many members trying to clear out gold, and then they had nothing left to actually go for a push. So MNM, they did that well, but they don't need to worry about their attacks anymore for a while now, as they're headed over towards the defense. I was quickly going to be pulling up some statistics here.
You love pulling up your statistics.
I love pulling up statistics indeed. And I'm going to be finding out whether or not throughout this event, Skyscraper has been massively in favor of the defense, or if it's just barely. 61%. So that is a pretty decent defense side so far.
5 seconds remaining.
T Karaoke on the 69%.
Yeah.
Win rate. It's a nice there. So MNM, they should be able to try and pull ahead of Oxygen here. Find themselves in a position where they could go for a third map, because again, they want to continue, and they were a bit beaten down after the first map loss. It's up to them now to climb back into the game.
MNM, how much pressure can you now try and hold off OXG's approach on? Once upon a time, you were more than confident in the gun skills that were flaunted across the board, and that was where OXG were failing. But it feels like that was a bit of time and age ago, and the coordination of your attacks, it got you through to the even half on the end of it. Let's see if he can try and do a little bit more before we head into club, where it's really going to be anyone's game and Gadget going ahead. Newers gets himself exhibition, gets himself eyes and ideas onto the house stairs. The Solotov underneath with the Solus shotgun, not the most common scene. Does Sweater know? Will Sweater get a free catch? No, actually pulls away.
It's not often in the EC. I was just looking at it. It's like, it is a decent shotgun, but just the P90 is so much better.
I mean,
in the role, right?
You got to have a specific idea.
Yeah.
If you want to run Solus with the shotgun.
Probably play around a staircase or something like that. That's usually where we see shotguns,
or underneath and hope they go for a plant.
Or that, indeed. But there's a couple of tables that should be safe for planting.
The breach comes through, not as much shenanigans stopping it. Tyrant pulls back just as the fight comes. Was actually red pinged there, so that was a bit of the lead in, and they've utilized that pressure to do this, force the shield, without having to utilize any of the grenades in the pockets of the Nook. Whether Newers were there first or not, I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you that Twitter's just going to sit here. Hope they try and retake, and there's the constant couple of bullets that come over every now and again as the sort of statement of, we know you're there, like, don't think we've forgotten.
Like, you're fine to stay here. Don't move any closer. That's basically just what they're saying out there. Like, you can have Shrine, that's fine.
Oh, do they know about the close Jaeger? That's the part Nello. He's not moving. He's hoping that they go for a wider and wider swing and he can get the catch. He didn't want to lean into that because, well, if you're already firing in that direction, it's not the worst swap over. But look at the time, Mr. Hap. 30 seconds. They're still waiting with the shotgun. Sweater's going to maybe put some pressure underneath. There's the call of the procs, and look at the motion, the swing of the SMG, Solidov, and he's still sitting waiting, and that'll be the read of they're underneath. We can't just hit this door. He's around prep. He's around that corner. Nello, there's the angle, finally come to fruition. Foxay is caught out. Nafe watching on black stairs. They have that support, and Ewers might run into them sooner rather than later. Dreams inside, but not for very long. A flawless to open up.
Thank you. They are so shit, man. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. Get your time out. Time out after one round.
I was going to make the same point. They don't know what to do.
Well, let's see what points they make.
Can't be scared. Their whole game plan is to play below a C4. So if we're wasting time, not going engaged, not pushing in, just throw a set of balls. We double up, push in, we trade because they have 3 people down low. Easily take it.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, listen, like, the utility game, again, is the issue, right? We're just throwing nades for fun. Like, when we go to use our utility, it needs to be in sync with something, right? Like, there needs to be a common goal. Like, I don't want us to be burning our utility just to get it out of our hands. Also, the Solus, like, can't the Solus see when the knock is activated?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so he can... Well,
just get off knock and go forward.
Yeah, I'd get off knock, 100%. Hey, listen, we got this. We just need clean utility rounds, all right? We got this.
Yeah, I do agree. I think the floors would be good. At the end of the day, we just need to be doubling up and taking stuff, right? Focus on the game plan. Doesn't matter what we're seeing open, if we think we can do whatever. Like, if we just push in, they have to...
Focus on the game plan.
Clean utility rounds.
Something we all cry for.
Something we all want to see every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had the same view as I had. I don't know if there was actually like 3 people actively playing below at C4s. It felt to me that MNM was a bit more fighting back on the actual top floor there.
Yeah, obviously, you know, when they got that intel versus when we get intel is very different.
Yes.
And that they could have that as a droned idea early on and then sort of keep that, whereas maybe they just flirted with it, that I've talked about many times. Some people will just purposefully get themselves seen and drop a drone in an area and then just leave forever and never return, just so there's an either expectation that's broken or there has to be clarity that's caught with a lot of time.
Yeah, but that kind of makes me worry about their game plan, which was, let's just throw bodies at the problem because there's 2 people at site, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if the game plan is confidently built around incorrect information,
yes,
things can go wrong.
So I'm hoping that they will rely more on their actual drones than, you know, let's just throw bodies at the problem here. Because whilst it could work, if you're under the assumption that 3 are downstairs, you will be caught off guard. Either way.
There's also the point of this as well, as they talked about Solus being a problem. Let's not bring Nook. There's no Solus.
Yeah, not now.
So
you don't know that, of course, until you drone it out completely. So it's a bit of a... It's just more of a precaution right now. We wouldn't be surprised if we go to a map 3 that Solus does get banned.
The break onto the wall itself, the impact just catches. I thought that missed for a second, but it does. Get that, make sure that it's not a rotatable angle. They're pre-firing the windows, they have the shield swing that they need, they have the pressure on the wall, so instead we get this, the push underneath. They're looking for potential players. News is looking for a fight, the calls are coming across, but there's no one to be found. Look at the rotate over onto the top end though. We've got the player playing just off the side of gold. They're getting themselves softed and pulling back as the pressure starts to come through. Sweater's knocking on the door and concerned about the jump out, but look, verticals have to come over. They have News underneath. They have someone watching Terrace as well that's just pre-fired through, which puts Solotov in a bit of a situation, but we also have a player around Drum tucked in right now. Nafe, he's gonna be potentially caught out on a rotate back, depending on how much time he wastes. The double wall has just been reinforced behind the cover of a smoke on the main site as well, so that has been locked.
There we go. Dream spots him out, and that means he's probably just gonna be in a self-sacrificial position right here. As he rotates around, an explosion happens as well. Somehow Nave gets out of there alive, but there's still players downstairs as well on a bit of a hunt, so, you know, he needs to be careful on choosing his route to rotate back up as Solotov takes down Sweater.
Solotov, he's able to take the first kill there. Nafe is rotating his way back up as well. Newers is going to do some grenade work, see if he can try and apply some pressure. They have an awareness that someone's on house stairs. Nafe finds vertical on the back end as well. They rotate around the back, and at the same time, Tyrant is able to clean house and take care of Newers. Nafe is still causing problems on the back end. And with the final fight, it's another flawless, 2 in a row. It's confidence.
It is confidence. And I was going to say last round, but then they called a tactical timeout straight away because MNM's attacks might have not been the greatest, but Oxygen's attack on that first map were also not like, you know, the best thing that we've ever saw in Siege. So both these teams need some work on the attack, but the thing is, MNM find themselves on the defense now. So, considering they found 3, they are in a good spot. And with how their defenses have been so far, they have been aggressive, they have been swingy, they have been finding these kills time and time again without being punished for it. And quite literally, 2 flawless rounds in a row says that, oh, and that means that Oxygen, they really need to be stepping it up here. And, you know, they just used the tech timeout, which means that they need to wait now until MNM gives one to them.
OXG, they've only got the game ahead of them to play at this point, and MNM's confidence has definitely been building, notably Solotov. As I sort of said, with a, you know, idea of what he can do. In the first map, he wasn't quite able to do it as well. And to be fair, throughout this tournament, from the meteoric performances that he's been able to have, where he has, at points, dictated an entire match based on a performance, he felt like he was being shut out quite early on. Not even that he wasn't able to get himself towards the end of rounds. And here, he's definitely feeling himself, finding himself. Tyrant, he's dropped off a little, but compared to where he's at, I mean, I think fair enough, he's done a lot of work. He can have
can have a bit of rest, even though it didn't lend them any points or, you know, anything like that. Just slow down. As long as MNM are winning the way they currently are, everybody's pulling their weight, you don't really need to have anybody step up. If you're looking at Oxygen, though, like, everybody is on the board, everybody has kills, of course, some people more than others, but you know, you can basically divide that by the entries and the flexes, and then the supports who have a little bit less. So it's not like there's anything that screams panic mode right now inside of Oxygen.
It's more that the whole series so far is attack is a challenge.
Yes.
And it's something that needs to be overcome, because if it's just going to continually be dictated by who is on the defense and who does a bit better on it, well, Clubhouse, where everybody has built defenses and built ideas, is going to turn into a bit of a bloodbath. It might even give attackers a little bit more to work with, because some of it is already written in the stars for you. Solotov is going to try and potentially get a catch just on the side of that being open, but nobody's there to gift it to him. And in fact, the barricade, I think that'll pop off slightly wrong in the direction that he wanted it.
It still close it out, but it's not going to be
a little bit.
Not going to be giving him too much cover. It's just that the player inside, or if someone wants to go inside drum, have a bit of a safer angle to work with here. Either way, a minute 15 and Oxygen, well, they've opened up a wall. Yeah, they've opened up a wall. There you go. And there's someone at least looking to make a push downstairs. So there's some drones coming through as well, but there's not much more than that. As Solotov just leans into the fight, doesn't quite connect with Sweater, but at least keeps them at bay.
Solotov, he left for a second there. He's come back in. There's more drones coming around, more pre-fires. They've got support now as well. I think Solotov was like, I can't do this by myself, and Nave's like, don't worry, I'm here to offer it. And Solotov says, cheers, mate, there's Newers. Cannot get the next, and suddenly both of them get caught out behind the back of an E1D. But as he said, so much time to get control of just Geisha. They do have the extra body, they do have that working for them, but they still need to try and find themselves through onto the site. The pop of the default cam, Tyrant tucked not too far away. He's not going to swing just yet, because at this point they expect it, but in the meantime, Dream is round, and there is the close fight. Surprise, surprise. However, it's a 1 versus 3. Users cannot quite find his way back round, and it's a 5-4.
Good ending of the round there from Oxygen to come through.
We're calling names. See what happens.
Call names, you see what happens, indeed. But the main worry for me here is that they still wasted so much time. They sent in a lot of drones, yes. They were able to get information, also yes. They eventually did get open the wall and they did clear out the players out there. But it was like 2 minutes for just a single room, it felt like. And that's never really ideal. And surely they stepped up their game as they did. They were able to get those kills on the board, and they were able to find themselves with the success they needed. But was it truly like everything they wanted? I mean, they got the round win, but it wasn't super clean. They need to be even better than they just were. Because MNM, they might have given it away slightly by, well, being too aggressive, possibly. Lack of information. Either way, we are headed towards Karaoke NT.
5 seconds to go.
Back up towards the top floor. We have fought here quite a bit so far throughout the game. And that's not only because Karaoke has been played for the 4th time now, but also because barbecue often revolves around the Karaoke side of the building, because that verticality is so important.
Yeah, it's that sort of moment now where MNM, remember they were 6-2 on the last map. It's what happens next that can be the big cost and presence. They've got to make sure that they respond with a round for the round. They had 2 flawlesses and 1 taken away. They still have a bit of a bet, but it was a good break there from RXG, and they're confident with the knowledge, as you said, to call the names, call the teams, and call the plays. The plays are being pinged. They're getting the steady intel. You can see Fox is just feeding all of that. So they get Terrace door open and get themselves eyes closer towards that massive pit, the drive through the middle. Tyrant finds the head of Newers. Gives Sando a wipe and gets himself ready for the next challenger.
A lot of damage taken though by Tyrant. Needs to be careful in his next engagement. Yes, he has the shield to play with, but single bullet is all that's needed to take him out. Oxygen pushing in from the house area. Again, there's that big divider we talk about all the time. It's the wall you're looking at when user swings out. You need to get through there. And these RC Roteros starting to push in to see if he can take care of some of the shields. Yes. Finds a way around the mute jammer there. Still going to be a magnet on the top of that, so a grenade shouldn't be able, not that there is any, to take him out. Which means that they still stay in that position, still are there to go aggressive.
Well, revealed is the gate that they now have to break their way through as well, and obviously with only the single body gone so far in a minute. We talked about how it was a little bit slow from OXG before, but they suddenly found the punch when it mattered. Poor timing. Unfortunately, you can never dictate that, and Vertical just misses out on the chance of popping the head of Solotov behind. Solotov still with a C4 as well, needs something else to happen first. He's making sure he stays cautious. There's a catch. They've pushed their way in, concerned about the window, but there's 1 and 2. Solotov, the lineup is his. He sees one more on the window, the shotgun. Gets a bit of a bite. You're suddenly looking at another fight on the window, and Dream is dropped. The C4 will just hit the gate. Oh no, it won't. It was popped open just before.
Dream walked by with a flashbang there, actually sealed his own death as a result of it. And Foxay not going to get very far either. It's 6-4 for MNM. As they lock in karaoke.
You're actually a drum terrorist.
Oxygen, they need to be quicker. They need to be a bit more snappy on their attacks. I've mentioned it throughout the entire half, and whilst we got to see some of that of Barbecue, we're still not really happy with what they've shown. They can do better. And if they want to be winning this in a 2-0 fashion, they need to do better. Exhibition up next. Secondary side coming through. This is where Newers was particularly struggling on the defense against the MNM attacks due to the long angles that were being used.
Well, we remember as well, obviously, there was the conversations about just what was underneath and just what was in play in place, and knowledge they thought they had on the push, and well, when push actually came to shove, and because of that, slightly different read, slightly different break potentially. Maybe they'll try and direct line themselves to site a little bit more, or maybe they won't entirely dedicate underneath with a couple of players that were sat around for a while, and then unfortunately couldn't get, as you said, Noyes, he was slow, and eventually finished.
It's not really having the same impact that we are used to be seeing from him here, and you know, Oxygen in general are starting to struggle a little bit more and more as the match goes on, whilst MNM is getting back into that confidence they have shown throughout the tournament so far. Of course, MNM, they turned themselves into somewhat of favorites considering their approach and their results that we've seen in the group stage. And whilst according to some they might have not had the toughest group to go up against, it's still an incredible feat to go basically 8-0 on maps. And they've lost the first against Oxygen, but now they're looking for revenge.
That's it. Bouncing back after your first map loss is something that could be etched into the story. Newers, he's coming in from a slightly different angle this time. Maybe he'll hold off and hope the rest of the team forces a push. Maybe they'll instead see if they can try and play. Remember, it was a big roam from Nafe. He dropped down, he found himself around the back of the stairs and cut 2 down, including the person with the kit. That's something they do not want to happen again. That's something they need to be prepared about and almost hope that they can start to suffer, because they'll be able to shut it down and get a big play and a problem fixed. Here it is, though. The pressure, the buck, ready and waiting to start opening things up. Newers is in a position to watch and hope that they can try and find the end of it, and pretty soon a lot of this soft will start to turn into a difficult situation.
Player on the other side there, Sweater, has made his position known, and player on the other side of the house stairs is looking to take a fight. Again, this is a map point. No slip-ups allowed anymore for Oxygen. Minute 20 left on the clock, and they're mainly coming in from below, hoping to find vertical nades or with the skeleton key try and dislocate one of the members and follow up with a C8 right afterwards. But instead, they're going to take it by themselves. It's a skeleton key kill to come through. Nave gets taken down with a minute left on the clock.
You got a little bit adventurous there, trying to swing into it and get the angle, but it's a very short roof. Tyrant, he's trying to hold on. There's a couple of players that are itching to go up. The grenade is going to be the first bit of a lean in. It goes underneath the wall itself, so they can instead try and get that popped open and get the route through. There's pings on players, pressure and points, but only about 40 seconds left. And as they're rebuilding the floor, it got a little bit damaged, I think, because of the other one. That's 2 that have fallen to Sweater underneath. Bit of damage done. The shotgun can't quite win out against New as he breaks his way up and gets one more for the trouble, leaving just Nello in a clutch situation all against them. The C4 won't quite get the full bite of Dream. He gets one, cannot find the next. 6-5.
Staying in this one round away from bringing this to overtime.
That was actually a genius with the buck. Yes, you were. Nice job. You're fucking selector.
It was very good play with the buck. I mean, obviously, the usage was good. It's such a short amount of travel distance. On a lot of other maps, that would have been the buck's story written.
Yeah, the Skeleton Key just in range there to go for the one shot down onto the player trying to challenge him. And you know, that's how he was able to find a second kill in the end, and that's how they were able to truly push the advantage their way. But MNM is going to rerun this. Exhibition again. Thinking it's a fluke that they lost that one. Sorry, I had to do it. And thus they're going to be rerunning it, making sure they make the changes necessary to find themselves with the control they need. Potentially even send the player downstairs to make sure that the buck is not going to be able to find as much freedom as Sweater did before.
Okay, MNM, you do not want to find yourself falling shy once again whilst being so close to map point. It's a much different situation. You're on your defense, shorter distance to go, but doubling down on the site you just lost to try and find the success you had before. That is that moment, that is that pressure, and that is that press. The buck is sticking around. Fair enough. It was deadly the last time, and they're going to see if they can try and prove that problem once again.
This is the thing, though. Like, that worked just now. If you're going to do the exact same thing, MNM should have something prepared for it. I'm not sure if they did, but there should be a counter in place to stop Oxygen. Whether that is going to be a rotation to come through as soon as the Skeleton Key makes itself known on that bottom floor, or if it's going to be something else, I'm not sure. But there it is. They now know Buck is down below. Now, what are you going to do about it, MNM? Are you just going to let him open up or rip up that floor freely again? No. Jesus just takes down Dream. Vertical falls as well. That's a double entry to start off with before the trade comes in.
Ewers almost gets it back. There's a bit of pressure through the soft on gold. Naif doesn't quite have the width of the rotate, but he now has time. And as Nello covers the rotate back round, a huge change of face. The realization of let's just put the pressure on. We're letting them get too comfortable. And to be fair, they were right. The buck had free reign for a long time. And then, sure, the buck is still on the board. But now they have a lot less support and a lot less they can do. Hey, what else is gone? The hard breach.
Yeah, now that's not the end of the world, but it's definitely going to be making things a lot harder, considering you're not going to be able to open up that reinforced wall on the outside. Now, luckily, there is going to be a soft piece right next to it, so I believe...
For now.
For now, yes, unless they do quickly try and get in and reinforce that. So they need to be a bit quick with stopping that. Sweater just gets a free kill. Naif, unaware of what was happening there.
That could be a costly affair here. Sweaty was maybe expecting someone else to swing in. The Flash can't quite shoot that out, but can at least turn around. He's far enough away so he doesn't get blinded. They are waiting for the swing, and Tyrant just rotates. So many examples of the dangers of siege timing throughout this game, but being able to pull back that kill, being able to put themselves into the even game, suddenly forcing yourself through these firefights isn't the worst thing in the world. And with that last canister popped, they probably won't be able to get the wall done. Yeah, the tuck on the shield, the bounce of the grenade. He'll heard the pin get pulled, but he's got a disc, and look at that, he's ready and raring to go. He's waiting for the first flicker of a person. The second grenade does a lot of damage, doesn't quite get the kill. There's the C4 going in close. Sweater is forced a bit further back. Foxay gets Nello though, and there's Sweater getting one more. Usus has two more bodies to find here on the swing round, 15 seconds, and they're gonna see if they can get the fight round the chassis. There's the first, can't get the locked engagement. There's the follow-up, and we're going to another overtime.
That's what we need. Good fucking patience, boys. Let's go. Come on, we got this.
Nice job.
100% correct in that patience there.
Come on, boys. We got this. Focus up.
5v3 indeed. MNM, they had that double entry, weren't able to change the numbers advantage in their favor. And that might have been a bit zoning out because Naif just unaware of the fact that someone could be on that balcony. And not that you can blame him, but, you know, when a kill like that happens, when there's basically no challenge happening whatsoever, and that's how you lose your numbers advantage, that is just what Oxygen need to get back into a round like that.
It's just that moment where they're so close, and then things fall away. It's almost like you have the sorrow of sort of saying, this is kind of the M&M that we're a little bit more used to. They've been a team that has been so close and suffered just in the dying throes, and here, maybe the pressure of being so close towards the main stage, towards the top 6. It's finally caught up with them after the game day and the break that they had before. OXG, that's twice over this map in the last. They fought their way back from being on the map point, or against it even. But a fresh best of 3, a fresh 3 rounds. MNM, you're starting on the defense, and this map has been generally a little bit more comfortable, I think, for both teams on the defense. Candelas, Montes, maybe some surprises coming from OXG this time.
The thing is, though, Oxygen has really been has been growing into that second half, for my money at least. So them continuing what they are doing right now after they just came back from a 5v3, I'm not sure if that's going to be favoring MNM here. Now, Solotov has been doing a massive job for them, 16 kills so far. He is the reason MNM is still in this game, is still not down in the lower bracket here.
Oh.
And that could be a free kill if you just step a bit too far back.
No, 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 no. They're just waiting. The drone is there as well. I mean, there's pings, there's a rotate, there's so many players close, and it's just that ominous image. It's a hanging guillotine, but there's only so long it can sort of sit there, and they need to do some of the pressure elsewhere. They didn't expect to get so much as Solotov. They did expect to get the mute jammer, and now they can get the wall at least. And Solotov has suffered unknowingly, but is at least still standing.
He is still standing. That's the most important indeed, because it's a gun up and firing, but he's mostly fighting with the SMG-11. It is a very hard gun to control, and otherwise it's going to be, I think, a shotgun that he's going to be running on that mute. Either way, a lot of damage done, not meant for Solotov, actually, just for that mute jammer, as you mentioned. That's going to be a big win already for Oxygen. All they need to do now is leverage that into a man advantage and then just see where they can bring it. Again, the Buck opening up vertically, making sure that Geisha is going to be unplayable. The Buck really providing a lot of value here for the side of Oxygen.
I mean, it has just been a sort of big change of face for them. It's the realization that we can make things uncomfortable for MNM. We can force them into our engagements, our ideas, and we still have what I would say is the back line of this push, or will eventually be the push, which is the Monty, which is the push and the pressure that's coming alongside the roll of the Candelas, the cover of the smokes, and the push of the Ying. I will stop saying that word. Oh no. Talking of, that's a bit of a broken breach. They're trying to shoot out either side. They do.
They're in.
Thankfully for them, Fox is in. Fox is going deep all the way to the hard wall, so he has something behind him. And now, in the blinds, in the cover, and the smokes, they can go for it. Solotov, he threats the needle of C4. They jump in and karaoke and get 2 back. But look at the timer. They got to see if they can try and get this pick back up and get it planted, and Nello's causing problems. The swing on the stairs is Nello's as well. They're holding onto the kit. It's 3 versus 2. Are they going to put the pressure on? Dream's able to get some of it, but not quite the right read. They're trying to find the final fight. There's the first. But they're holding on to the diffuser. Nello, he's tucked behind the hard wall that they had as cover before. There's the fight, there's the lock, and there is MNM winning the first of the overtime rounds.
Good use of the C4 there to get rid of the Montaigne. Maybe Oxygen needed to be a bit more proactive on that by jumping into Geisha, stop that from happening, because then it would have been a successful round right there. They managed to recover themselves quite well. They managed to get the plan down in the end, but it just missed that little bit of sharpness that would have fixed the issue for them. MNM now again on a map point here. Can they lock it off now finally? They will be on the attack. It was a 3-3 split twice, meaning that it is quite 50-50, but it's been a while since they've been on it.
And this site wasn't. This site was taken both times. We saw it from OXG's defense. They're going back to karaoke, going back to what is their most successful site. And, well, maybe we're getting a bit of a change of pace and face from MNM as well. Monty in the pockets of Nath. As the drive on the opposite end, it was effective in getting into the position and the place there from Oxygen, but it came on the back of a lot of support, and that has sometimes been what's missing from MNM. They got into the rhythm of it late in their half. The last 2 rounds that they had of their attack were some of their most sturdy, but it was a problem for them throughout some of the earlier series. Can they find one, or will we be going to our 4th max OT of the day?
Yeah, we have been having 2 already on the Wolves G2 game, then we've had 1 on the previous map as well, so I'm up to do another 15-rounder here. Let's just bump up our statistics, you know, on casting rounds, because Des and Ace, they've been pulling overtime every time. So it's time for us to catch up. And MNM, they feel the same way. Well, I don't think they want 15 rounds.
No, they don't.
But they do want a map 3.
That's it. They want to see a 3rd map. They want to keep themselves fighting alive. They want to make sure that they're not sent down by OXG, that 3rd place team that's already bit their way through a 2nd place team with eyes firmly locked on one of the ones that slipped by first. MNM. They've got themselves prepped and ready for breaks. There's going to be a bit of a check underneath. OXG haven't gone too loose with their holds here. They've been much more complacent and being closer towards the punch. There was some rotations, but Solotov is in the position that we talked about before. Newers wasn't rewarded for it last time. Sat there for a while, and I think suffered a bit of damage before they pulled back. Here is Solotov hoping that they will be. The Izami, they're kind of comfortable for now.
I mean, it's still walking forward, but Joe, that's a ponytail. There you go. Bit of a gunfight. A grenade will follow up. It's probably not going to be finding anything, though. So that's the first grenade taken care of. Sweater aware of the fact that that's one less they have to worry about now. And we'll be leaning back into the fight momentarily.
Solotov, though, finds Newers. Finds the first kill for them underneath the hatch itself. Takes out a big player. Takes out a big operator as well in Wamai. So the other grenades they might have to put some thought into. They have themselves, I believe, the impact breach towards Geisha itself. They can force the fight, but look at this. There's a bit of a roam. I talked about it wasn't the most common thing. Doesn't mean it's an impossibility. They have the read, though, I think. Solotov, they're waiting, ready for this engagement. Sweater, how deep do you go? Oh, deep enough. Takes care of Solotov, gets the drone as the follow-up, and a huge bit of movement. Suddenly, it's an even fight. Nafe is very separated as well. He's just going to hold on. The Rotera drone forces them back. Foxay wanted to try and drive against the Monty. Can't quite do it. But with the setup there, with where the diffuser is in the pockets of Nathan, with that wall locked, they're going to have to see if they can try and slink their way around. The breach is on the opposite end. And there it is. There's the motion. The impact hits the bottom. Caught out from behind. They tried to go full guns blazing, and now they're inside with coverage and control. There's a 1-player in Geisha, though. If this goes unchecked, they need to swing in, as you said, from the back end. They need to try and stop this. The upside-down repel. It's a post-plant. The Monty, they get the shield extended. They put it back down again, but the window... The Keeper barricades get rebuilt. Sweater bleeds his way back in, and they smash it right back down and then pull themselves further away. Usus. He's got 2 players. They're going to jump out. They were tempted to from the opposite end. They're going to hold it. Vertical has the locked. Hey, Hap! We're going all the way!
One round is all Oxygen need. And MNM, they see it slip again.
And you see him to the right.
The plans, it was there. The cover, supposedly as well. The kills coming through. But you gotta stay on that rappel. You gotta give it a look at some point. And they've just not quick enough to extend. The cover just not there in time to actually allow the Montaigne to survive. And we're finding ourselves in round 15 again for a 4th map in a row, going all the way. MNM, you're on the fence. Again, it is a 50-50. It doesn't mean that you are taking it home now, but you have looked better on your defense than you have on your attacks. And now is the time to prove that. Just this 1 round, and you will be surviving. You will be going to a map 3.
We get barbecue. We get the side that we didn't really get the double down on before. It was generally a lot more tries at exhibition.
Yeah.
Where they couldn't quite find the success towards the tail end of it. And 1 failure here, but a couple of changes. Usus now with the Oryx, with the mobility, the castle as well to stretch the gunfight. And talking of the guns from the gunfight itself. There's an early E1D.
Yeah, just to make sure that maybe no spawn peaks, no run out, something like that. I'm not quite sure. Maybe they're, you know, expecting MNM to try something crazy here. Either way, there must be so much pressure on MNM right now. And of course, there is an amount of pressure on Oxygen as well, but they already have that one leg into the next round. So they don't necessarily need to perform now. Half a minute passed. Foxay opening up with that buck, an operator that has found quite some success for Oxygen as soon as it got brought, and now will be brought for verticality again, but this time from top to bottom, and to create these rotations as well, to allow the attack to be versatile, to move around, to get everywhere they need to be quickly.
Well, there's Quick, there's the break onto the pressure onto Drum there, forcing the vertical control whilst also putting it underneath. Look at this, moving under the shadow and the cover of, well, a very noisy E1D. The castles are propped either side. They're sort of limiting a bit of noise, but it allows OXG to get quite deep up. They can get themselves set into this position. They know that, well, if we've got this, then we can get in, we can get droning, we can get some eyes, and then go from this point onwards. It can be a bit pacey, but then it can make things a little bit tumultuous at this point instead. Newers is trying to see if he can maybe angle one of the players close by. There's the fear of somebody above the chasm, the watch on towards the opposite end of Dragon or Drum, but otherwise, Nafe has kept himself out of arm's length.
It's definitely some information indeed that they know people are up above. Valkyrie cameras are going to be playing a big role here with 1 minute and 10 left, counting down. Foxay aware of the fact that someone could be coming from behind. Oxygen still not really in a position where they can go for a strike, and a rotation again coming through, as it's now going to be 3 up top and 2 down below, because they need to find these first initial kills before they can head down. And they need to do it in the next 20, because 30 seconds for execution on Barbecue, that is still going to be enough. But the longer they wait, the more harder it will become. Oxygen, you need to move if you want to not go to map 3.
Tricky camera to pop there, but gets it in the end and allows them to do this. They have eyes towards the site. It is watched generally from above. They've got themselves a bit hands-off, and again, under the cover of this, Newers is in a very explosive position. If they don't know, they're about to find out. Sweater gets caught. Nello gets the first with the cap can. There's the swing round. There's the reveal that Newers is up on the stairs. There's the bite back, and he somehow finds users, but Tyrant does stop the fight. It's gold as the next step in cannot find Fox. Vertical is down. Nafe and Dream are 1 versus 1. They're going for the pickup. He's trying to play it instead. Do they have time? They just need this. The last fight. There's the catch, the reveal. They can't quite get the angle. They're going for it, but it is OXG! They will be moving across. They will find an underdog story today. Becomes a mighty roar of American power.
They find themselves with victory, literally with seconds to spare. Going for that pickup, I was afraid they would not have enough time. That gave the moment to actually go for vertical preparation. But that was the cover they needed in the end. They succeed, they get themselves that victory and move on to best of 3s. 60 rounds played for them as well.
A long, long day, but maybe one that they'll remember for a long time, and unfortunately for MNM, one that they'll probably want to forget. They were so close, and they know they still have the capability to keep fighting through the series. There's a reason they are where they were, and there's a reason that they will keep fighting to see just where they can end up.
It is a heartbreaking defeat here for MNM. They haven't lost a single map up until they met Oxygen. And then after 30 rounds, they lose 2. They'll be knocked down to the lower bracket. They will not be confirmed. What was it, top 6?
No.
Oxygen will. And with that, they have a bit of a longer road ahead down in the lower bracket tomorrow.
We'll throw to a quick break before we're back with the desk to break that one down.
I'm Nicholas Martin, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
W7M versus M80, the first 6 invitational for both of these teams. They have certainly come far, and they've never played each other on stage before, so just up in the ante there a little bit. I'm Jackie Jing. I'm feeling a little bit left out, though. I'm going to be completely honest, because Dev and Mandy are wearing pink. They got pink in their hair. Hello?
Jackie, didn't you get the memo? On Mondays, we wear pink.
It's Wednesdays.
Oh.
But it's fine.
I thought it was Wednesday today. It's my bad.
I love Mandy's just like, hi. But let's get to this amazing series that we have ahead of us. W7M, the tournament favorites, versus M80, the underdogs. Dev, things are heating up here.
Absolutely are. Of course, we saw W7M play BDS earlier today. That could have been a grand final, but it wasn't. W7M won it, and now they play M80. Nigh undefeated in groups. The only loss they had was one that technically didn't even matter because they'd already secured first seed. This is also one of the longest running rosters at Six Invitational. They haven't made any changes since they formed as X 11 months ago.
Yeah, Dev, I was just going to say, they've only been together 11 months and they have achieved so much. It's wild.
Absolutely have. They've managed a top 4 finish in their very first season, in fact, and they managed to get to Charlotte, go top 4. They went to Berlin, also managed to get top 4 again. Stage 3, though, was a bit of a drop-off for M80, so for me, coming in, my description for their group was they should be first in their group, assuming they can find their Berlin form, because if not, things could look a bit grim. Turns out there was nothing to worry about.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry, Minnie, continue.
No, I just wanted to say, for this roster as well, these guys are so young. This is such a young roster, and they've come into it, and every single international event, they've just been absolutely flying through it. This is a roster that feels like they've been around for a while, right? But really, they're brand new.
Yeah, and also what we love about them is they're bringing the Latam style and the NA style together, the fragging power and the flexibility, right?
Yes, I really like the way that they've done it. So if you're from Latam and you're seeing this pseudo Latam showdown, hello, welcome. Of course, Julio in his interview when he was here with us was like, this matchup is gonna bring the noise because it's Bodega versus me. And so it was really exciting. Yeah, but I really like the way that they structure their team. They've got this 5-man calling roster, which is really Latam style as well. They bounce ideas off each other really, really well, and it's just gonna be super exciting to see these teams go off against each other.
Definitely excited about that, but very quickly, we have an interview with M80, so roll the tape. Let's take a listen.
The way I feel about our team's performance in the group stage, I mean, we always do good in groups, so it was kind of expected. So yeah, I'm just happy we did good. We got first. It was a little sloppy in a few maps, but we got it done. Our game in playoffs is going to be either against W7M or BDS. The winner of that, I don't really know what to expect to that game. Like, whoever's shooting the most is going to perform and just play us. I don't really care who we play, because if you want to be a champion, you just have to beat everyone, so yeah. We want to improve in playoffs to the group stages. We would like to play more aggro a bit in certain maps and just like talk a lot more than we were doing in the group stages. And also, like, playoffs are just a whole different game, so like we just have to go nuke. The team that we think is like the biggest threat right now is MNM, because like they're just going absolutely nuclear. We scrimmed them, we got smoked. So I don't know if they're just a scrim team, but like I said, like playoffs is just a whole new game, so I'm confident. For the group stages, like, we couldn't really counter a lot, but now for playoffs, like, we have time, so we're gonna counter them a lot. So teams, be ready. I just wanna let everyone know that we don't really care who we play. We're gonna smoke everyone, we're gonna get first. So yeah, all the teams gotta be careful with us.
Definitely feeling confident there. We always love to see that. But let's get to their opponent now, W7M. Dev, we said this off of the top. They are favored to win the whole thing here. They are a powerful team.
Well, W7M have had a cracker of a 2022 season. They made it to every single major. They got first place in the global standings. They haven't yet won a championship outside of Brazil. And to be honest, I reckon that it's been a tougher group stage than expected. They were in the group of death, and they only managed to get third place. They've started to redeem themselves here in playoffs already by taking down BDS, though it wasn't convincing. It was a very hard-fought 2-1.
Okay, and Mandy, W7M, favorite team? You're like,
Yes,
I like
do
them.
those.
You were talking about Julio's interview a little bit earlier. What really stood out to it about you? You were saying that they scrim each other, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. Julio on the interview was like, so these guys, they're our scrim partners. We know them inside out. Like, they know each other's mannerisms inside of the lobby. So Julio was saying in the interview, they're going to try and bring out some stuff that's specifically going to work against M80 to try and counter their playstyle because they know each other so well.
Okay, so Dev, I know that you're looking through the spreadsheets. You're bringing up some cool facts here. Anything particularly exciting about this matchup to you?
Well, one thing that I really noticed in the BDS W7M game earlier today is just how good W7M are at getting opening kills. Turns out they're actually the second best opening kill team in the tournament. They get that opening kill 58% of the time, and so I'm always going to be looking at W7M in those early rounds and whether they're going to be able to capitalize on hunting down roamers or punishing any aggression from M80.
And I really think it leans into the way that W7M structure their attacking style. They have really great entries of KZ, of Herds, excellent frontline players. Not only that, but a lot of the time, they have their support players flex onto things that are specific for roam clearing. You have Julio, who not only does he play hard breach, but he can also flex onto the Lion, onto the Dokkaebi, onto the Jackal, whatever it is. They enable that roam clear so well through the early game, in my opinion, better than pretty much any other team in this lineup.
Okay, and I believe that we are ready to move on to map ban vetoes. We're going to get that information up on the screen right now. Dev, I'll put you in the hot seat first. What do you think?
Okay, so a lot of the bans are fairly elementary. It looks like I haven't seen anything too crazy, but I'm just going to jump straight into the picks because the really exciting one for me is our very first map, which is Border. Now, if W7M had beaten Koi on Border in their final game of the groups, they would be on a 10-match winning streak on this map. But of course, Koi got the better of them. Koi won out in OT. It was a very tight game, and there were a lot of things that Koi did to punish W7M that I've no doubt M80 will be looking to do to punish. That was even said in the interview from M80 just before we started this segment. GMZ, or Gomez, said, we're going to be countering people so much more in this. So I'm expecting them to be really bring the heat to W7M on that map.
Yeah, and I think just taking this map veto from the perspective of each team, from W7M, their auto ban is Banks, they take that out. Skyscraper as well is, in my opinion, a counter ban to M80, and then they pick Border, which is a map that they've been performing on pretty well at the moment. M80's perspective, they have a much more clear ban phase, in my opinion. They pretty much always ban out Cafe, Villa, or Chalet in some order, something like that. So I think M80, they have a map pool that they're comfortable with, and they feel like they're going to play to their strengths, whereas W7M, they're more going for M80's weaknesses.
All right, well, they are scrim partners, but this is the real deal. W7M versus M80. Blue and Stokes, take it away, gentlemen. And we got some Stream A action ahead, too, so don't go anywhere. OXG going to the upper bracket semifinal, and the green room was going nuts watching this one. And I'm super excited because I get to speak with Foxe. I don't even know where to start. Y'all have had a fantastic day. What emotions are you feeling? I'm sure you're feeling pretty emotionally charged.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just to stay level-headed for both matches, we would have had to have drank, like, I don't know, 2-3 Red Bulls apiece. So, especially after the first game, this game really went down to the wire. So, we feel crazy. I'm sure we're going to have a good day, but it's not over. It doesn't matter until, you know, you're the last team holding the trophy. So.
Yeah. And Fresh, I know you got a couple questions as well.
Yeah, I do. So it was more specifically about the Skyscraper game, the last game that we saw. MNM are known as quite a formidable team on Skyscraper, particularly the defense. So they're sitting at about 80% defense win rate on that map. What was your plan going into that? Because obviously it came through to overtime, but you actually got a 50% attack win rate against them.
Well, I think you brought it up before today that we only really showed like 2-3 maps during group stages. So we knew that as long as we bring MNM to a map that they didn't really know what we were doing, they're a very logistical team, strategical, and they rely a lot on counter strats and just being comfortable in their nature. So the fact that we brought it to 2 maps that they had no info on us and we were able to pretty much see them play it, I think it was like the last groups day, you know, we felt very confident with our map picks. And then attacks, I mean, it's just been stuff that we've been practicing. We threw out a lot of adaptations. M&M's a great team at what they were doing. I don't think the 2-0 scoreline shows how well they played. And since the last time we played them, they have just gotten so much better.
All right, the first up you had to come back from a 2-6 round count. What goes through your mind during such a comeback?
I don't know. I called Newer's LeBron during the first match. I think it got to his head. I think he was feeling really good. Our team just, again, like I said, we just focus on the adaptations. Oregon is such a hard map to attack, especially with the utility clear. You know, we have teams in NA like DZ, SSG that are really good at using that utility to stall us out. So it was kind of similar to playing those guys. And we just knew that if we made it to defense with a nice little cushion from attack, we'd be able to bring it back. You know, 6-2, hopefully we can get a little more attacks in, and that's something that we're going to prepare for the next games. But, yeah, at the end of the day, it's all heart and how badly you want it. So our last team, honestly, could have never gotten to this point with going down 6-2. Just the mental that we have on this team, the fortitude is just unbeatable right now. So, you know, hopefully I don't eat my own words in the next matches, but we'll have to get there first.
Aw, well, you guys certainly look fantastic right now. Last question, anything that you want to say to the fans?
See you guys at Invite, see you guys in Montreal. We're the first team qualified for main stage, so win or lose, you know, we'll be there, and hopefully it is win. Yeah, I don't know, love the support, everyone that was with us, and the biggest thank you to the people that really did not want to see us win. I don't think a single person voted us winning, and I guess that makes a perfect matchup with Wolves, because I know a lot of people weren't saying they were going to win either, so.
Aw, all right, Foxe, thank you so much for that fantastic interview. I wish you could see, we got sweaters dancing in the background behind the camera right now, but all right, we got to talk about this matchup, and let's bring it back to map 1, okay, Fresh? I'm going to put you in the hot seat first here. I mean, 8-7, nail biter, barn burner. Break it down for me.
Well, I think Fox just mentioned it there, is that they, you know, MNM were 6-2 up. And I think that was the thing, you know, attacking Oregon is a very difficult process to do, especially that laundry site. It is absolute hell in a cell when teams want to make it like that. But it's the mental fortitude. And especially after the way that Oxygen lost those first 2 defensive rounds, 10 seconds left and MNM just finding a 5v5 execute, which does never happen. Happened twice in a row. So to then come back from that and just take it step by step, round by round, that was really impressive stuff for me. Perhaps more impressive than actually winning the map was the way that they won the map.
We saw it again from MNM, where their attacks were kind of slow paced. There were 2 rounds where the first entry engagement came with around 10 to 12 seconds left on the clock. Yeah. That is insane. MNM managed to take a few rounds in their favor that they probably shouldn't have. But on the other side, maybe it's the same for Oxygen. We saw a huge clutch play coming out from Dream. We saw it coming out from Newers as well in the overtime first round. Huge clutch plays. And, well, eventually, as you said, the mental, or as Fox said, the mental fortitude helped them to pull out this victory towards their way.
And, I mean, no surprise here, Newers stepping up huge. Dream as well, though, Fresh.
Yeah, he's had a massive one. I think he's had a tricky tournament, but I think across particularly Oregon, but also Skyscraper as well, he came in big. And, you know, that's what you want when you play as, you've got these experienced players, and Dream can make those hero plays on the back line. You're not always going to see him particularly getting those high frags, but he does get impactful frags.
Okay, and you were just talking about map 2, one obviously touching that, another 8-7 Skyscraper. Whew. And I mean, I'm sweating still. So talk to me about this one here. You know, it was interesting because when we were in the green room, you're like, Jackie, this is kind of off to a slow start, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this game, there was another game going on at the same time, right, which started later than our game did, and they ended up being similar scorelines, whilst our game had already started earlier on, which indicates it's a very, very slow game. We've had slow takes from MNM once again on the attack. They were trying to get top 4 control to go for a barbecue execute with 40 seconds left on the clock, trying to get rid of a player that's upstairs in T, and Oxygen just played into that perfectly. They played passive, they had lurkers off-site in odd positions, just waiting for MNM to take that control and do something about this roam clear. I liked how Foxay also mentioned that the 2-0 scoreline doesn't really show how well MNM played, because they did really put up a fight. Influential entries from Solotov in Geisha that really mattered for some MNM rounds.
Oh, sorry, Fresh, continue.
The curious thing about this map, I think, for me, was the operator bans. Was actually we saw a Kaid, we actually saw a Bandit ban, and a Thatcher ban, which means walls were genuinely going to get opened on Skyscraper, but the 3 big defensive operators, Azami, Valkyrie, Solace, all in play. I expect it to be very defender-sided. It was very defender-sided.
Okay, and Vertical at the top of the leaderboard here. So I gave a big hint. Who's our MVP? Who do you think? That was way too obvious, but it's Vertical. And, you know, Vertical is always a consistent, strong player, but this is when they needed him, right? 2 maps, extremely close. He knows he has to go to town, right, Ian?
Exactly, yeah. A good KD difference there you'll see as well. The cost of 73%. That's about 3 out of 4 rounds that he's done something to contribute to a round win. That is that consistent factor that you need on your team and that consistent factor that they've been relying on today.
And Fresh, anything about Vertical's performance that you really enjoyed watching?
I think he's a player that gets talked about very little. He plays a lot of that. You know, he had to move to get onto that flank watch kind of flex role. You know, was used to talking about Nuers or Sweater. You know, even dreaming the backline when he's making those hero plays. Fox is the IGL, and Vertical kind of just gets forgotten about. So the fact that he's had a tremendous day today, Nuers had a tremendous day in the first series that we watched today. Sweater stepped it up. Fox seems to be playing well. This team looks like a complete team at the minute.
Yeah, certainly. Well, thank you so much for your analysis. OXG victorious. But all of you watching at home, do not go anywhere. We have more Siege action ahead, but we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.